Hey guys, it's me Anchor, and this will be a guide in specific about DPS warrior, but also some general warrior things. A bit of a preamble, first of all. Why I wanted to make this video is because I thought I played warrior a lot, especially throughout different expansions. Right now we are in anniversary. What I am playing right now, we are in phase 4. The group just released. And I thought it's a good time to just make a general warrior guide, go over some things. The thing is, there are a lot of warrior guides, but some of them are wrong. There's kind of a lot of misinformation about, and I wanted to clear up some things. I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable warrior player, definitely not. But I know where to look, where to read up stuff and such. And yeah, but to bring it all, like summarize it a bit in a video format, I think makes sense. And this will be mostly what this video will be mostly about. So yeah, sit back, relax. This will be a bit of a longer video. I will make timestamps so you can like skip certain things if you just want to know about a specific thing. I will also mostly focus on DPS warrior and about endgame stuff, not so much about leveling and like what I don't know what race to pick and such. Um, I won't go in depth. I will explain, of course, some things. But if you want me to make a more in-depth video about a certain topic you want to see, then just write a comment and yeah, I will think about it and probably make it. So yeah, first of first of all, what I wanted to start is just write the character creation, because that's already very important for warrior. And actually, it's kind of funny because the things that are most important, you won't really you won't really feel it until late game. So it's a bit of kind of unfortunate, but yeah, that's why it's very important if you plan to play long term, what race you pick at the beginning. You have certain decisions you can make. As you can see, every race in the game can play warrior, um, but not every race should be warrior. I said this is mostly about DPS, so that's what I'm focusing on. But yeah, for those people who are a bit more knowledgeable and know there are only two picks you can make for warrior, one for each faction. That would be human for alliance, and for horde it would be orc. So I said that's because of their racial skills, and both races have a racial skill that boosts their weapon skill. And what I mean by that, like you have different weapon types, you have swords, maces, axes, daggers, and such. And there's a game mechanic in this game. When you fight a high level opponent, it's very important how much weapon skill you have. Raid enemies, like raid bosses, are 3 levels higher than you. So if you are 60, they are 63. And then it becomes very important how high your weapon skill is. You want to have a minimum of 305 weapon skill, and that is only achievable either if you pick the right race or if you have certain items. What I mean by that is I will explain that a bit later, but what you can remember is if you want to like don't want to have a lot of headaches, if you want to pick alliance, pick human, and if you want to pick horde, pick orc. Other than that, you can pick the other races, of course. Like if you want to be a dwarf warrior, fine, you can, of course. But it's going to be a lot more expensive for you. If you have that gold, go for it. Yeah, all of this is only relevant for PvE. If you play PvP, um, this doesn't matter at all. There are way better races for PvP. Like if you want to PvP as an alliance, you would rather pick like something like Gnome because of escape artists and such. But yeah, but this video will mostly focus on PvE, not much on PvP. Okay, so to summarize, if you are alliance, pick human. If you are horde, pick orc. If you have gold and don't really care, and you really want to pick another race, pick other races. Like, for example, from the alliance side, there isn't really much in PvE difference between the races. You could pick dwarf or stone form. You could pick gnome for escape artist and such. But yeah, that's not much of a difference. On horde side, however, you can troll also has a really good ratio. Berserkings gives you a lot of attack speed. That's also really nice to consider. Tauren warriors, they have a ratio where they have more health. Also kind of nice. Undead is more often, I would say, PvP race because of their ratios, so it doesn't matter much. Also, what's also very interesting is each race has their own unique stats. So as you can see, humans are pretty even with everything. Besides like spirit, they have a bit more spirit. Dwarves, you can see they have more strength. No, that's kind of a trap. This doesn't really matter that much. Actually, it doesn't really matter at all because, like I said, weapon skills are way more important than this. But what's kind of funny, dwarves have more strength than humans. So yeah, it's kind of different. So yeah, you can see actually some races have more strength than others, or agility or whatever. Yeah, but it's not that important. Like I said, pick human. If you want to pick alliance, pick orc. If you want to pick horde. The other races, if you have a lot of gold, you can pick them. That's going to be important. I'm going to explain that a bit later. So yeah, let's go to talents. Talents, what we can do here. This is also another thing that is a bit difficult to explain because there's also a lot of different information about. What I'm going to talk about first is like leveling talents. What do you pick if you're going to level? Of course, there's like no forced way to play. You can even play whatever as protection if you want to. I wouldn't. Why wouldn't you pick as protection? Because the talents aren't really good for leveling at all. Unless you maybe permanent as a dungeon tank, but even then, you can perfectly tank as in DPS. So yeah, what would you say? What would you pick first of all? There are multiple choices you can make. What I like to do is I just go immediately into Fury because this is pretty much the best first tier 1 talent you have. 5% crits compared to the like other things you can pick is insane, especially early, especially late also. This talent is really insane. Crit will give your auto attacks more damage. If your auto attacks do more damage, you get more crit, more rage, sorry. And then you can use more abilities. Mobs will also die faster. And yeah, it's also more fun because crits are fun. Okay. Now we have 5 and 5 in cruelty. What we can do is we could go further into the fury tree. What I would pick if you want to do that, I wouldn't recommend it for leveling, but if you want to do that, if you want to go further into the fury tree, we could go booming boys, or we could go improve demoralizing shout. This talent is kind of underrated actually, because if you just go 5-5, we have a 40% damage reduction, attack power damage reduction. This actually adds quite a lot, to be honest, especially if you fight more than one mob, and if you fight like melee mobs. Like most mobs in the game just are going to do way less damage because of this. But yeah, You can go this, you can do this, and yeah, you can go further the talent tree. Why you don't want to pick Unbridled Wrath is because the rage point is not that significant you're going to get, and mostly you are going to have two-hander, so this won't really proc that much. So it's not that of significant damage increase. Like, it's not if you pick this, you're going to have 100 rage all the time. Not really going to happen. From these talents, this is kind of a trap. This gets sometimes recommended, but yeah, don't pick that. This is pretty bad talent. Maybe if you are only doing dungeons, you could pick that, but no, you don't really want to have improved cleave. This talent is pretty cool actually. Piercing Hull. You could pick it. If you want to level, this could save you actually if you are going if you are running away from mobs. You can easily slow them. It only costs 10 rage. It's actually pretty good of a talent, especially if you are into the Fury tree. You can pick that. No problem actually. Just one talent point and you have it, and you can use it whenever you are running away and such. All the other points I would just dump in Improved Battle Shot. You're going to get more damage, coupled with improved Booming Voice. You are going to have a longer battle shot, and this will just go make things way easier for you. Then you can go into Enrage. This is the best talent out of these. And yeah, you could go further, you could go Deathwish. Overall, I wouldn't recommend really going far into the Fury tree, especially if you are leveling. If you're one of those people who want to just dual wield weapons, this is one of the things you can actually do. There's a lot of information about it. If you got like really good two one-handers, you can level with one-handers, why not? But it's still not going to be better than using a two-hander. So overall, you really want to have a two-hander. I will explain a bit about this when we are looking at this, why you want to use a two-hander. There are a lot of things to consider. Yeah, but you could go with it and you could go further. Like, doesn't really matter that much. I don't want to go too deep into talents. If you want me to make a video about the talents, especially during leveling, or like a more comprehensive leveling guide, feel free to comment about it. I will make one, especially going through over multiple talents. What I would just suggest is you just go 5/5 cruelty, and then you just go into the arms tree. You can pick improved rent, go to into deflection, and just go further down the tree. This is a good talent. You can pick tactical mastery, and I need to look. Yeah, and you can go further into the tree. Basically, what you want to do is, if you reach certain level, like this, like level 30, when you reach level 30, you want to respec. Why do you want to respec? If you do a lot of dungeons, you definitely want to respec because you want to get sweeping strikes. If you don't really do dungeons or don't do a lot of AoE stuff, you can just keep it as this and just go further down the arms tree. Why is that important? I'm just gonna respec now. So let's say we are also doing kind of a lot of dungeons, especially at level 30, because you can do like Scarlet Monastery and such. You can go like this, improved rent, do deflection, go like this. Also, you can get a 505 parry. If you are tanking a lot, this would be also suggestion you can do. Definitely you want to pick improved overpower. This is one of the best talents you can pick. Overpower costs like 5 rage, 50% increased crit. This will like crit all the time, and this will do insane damage because it will do weapon damage. And when you're using two-hander, you can imagine how much damage that is for like 5 rage. It's actually really insane. So yeah, you go there, then you can go here, then you can do this, and then you have sweeping strikes. By this point, if you are here, then it will be important which weapon you are going to have. If you have a really good two-hand sword, you could pick sword specialization. There are only really two choices. This is the best choice, X specialization. This is an also okay choice. Like sword specialization is also pretty fun to use. It's not that good than X specialization, but yeah, you could also use sword specialization. But you will mostly pick X specialization because there are a lot of good X's in that level range. You have Relevant X, of course. You have that 39X, Bonebiter X, of course. And even later, like you have in BRD Z1X. There are really a lot of good X's, 2-hand X's in the game. Even before that, you have that level 29X called in UFD, I think. There was like a level 29X, I forgot. But there's also that X. So yeah, there's really a lot of good access, and this talent's really insane. Like if you can look, increase your chance to get a critical strike with access by 1%. You can put 5 points in it, and it's pretty much the same as cruelty. So you have another way to get 5% crit. So yeah, most important talents I would say in this talent tree are like sweeping strikes, improved overpower, X specialization, and improved rent is really good at the beginning. Don't get fooled by people who say rent is useless and such. They're wrong. Improved rent at the beginning is really cost efficient for your rage, and that's a pretty important reason why you are going to do it, and also go further than 3D wounds. Also really nice, 60% of the melee weapons damage. Pretty nice, especially if you do like dungeons and such. One AoE crit, and you get a lot of damage out of that. Impale is yeah, pretty useless actually, especially if you level. There are a lot of better talents than that. Also, two-handed weapon specialization is pretty insane. 5% more damage, pretty much. And yeah, by that point, if you are here, you can look where you want to put your points in. If you want to smooth out your warrior gameplay and you switch stances a lot, you can go like tactical mastery and then one anger management. This will make your warrior gameplay a bit more consistent, especially if you switch stances a lot, and if you're tanking a lot. If you are tanking, you are 100% going to need this talent. There's no other way to play pretty much. If you saw like people are using at the end game, they don't really have the talent, but that's like end game rating. So you really want to have this talent. If you're like tank dungeons and such, you're going to switch stances a lot. Like you're going to charge, then like switch to berserker stance to do a whirlwind to get enough threat, and then maybe you're going to go into protection to taunt someone off and such. You're going to stance a lot, and that's where you really need this talent. Other than that, you can also go more deflection. It's a really nice talent, or you could go impale. Like these talents don't really matter that much. Like if you go here or whatever, it's not really that important. You can like go one in impale and mortal strike. What you really want to do, that's also really important. If you are level 40 and like you have talents into fury or into fury spec or whatever, you really want to respec into arms. Level 40 mortal strike is really insane. It's way better than bloodthirster at that level, because as you can see, it does weapon damage plus 85, so it does insane damage, especially if you use two-hander. So you really want to respec a level 40 just to get mortal strike. If you're like another trio, or have like I said before, where you have 5 cruelty and you just went down further the tree, uh, just make sure you respec at 40, or you get mortal strike at level 40. That's really important. So yeah, other things are like more in depth. I don't want to talk too much about the talents. but that's how it's going to look like when you're leveling. Other than that, when you are level 40, you can, if you have Mortal Strike, you can go again into the fuel tree, get some talents here and such. But by then you will have pretty much your whole warrior kit, and it will be way easier. Only the beginning is kind of hard to level as a warrior when you have whirlwind and such, and you have mortal strike and good weapons. It's pretty much smooth sailing. So yeah, that's about the leveling talents in general. No, this is about more in general what you can do when you are leveling. What is really important, your gear. Like warriors are the most gear dependent class in the game, especially when you are level. What you want to do is when you level, you can look up guides. This is a really good guide actually in general. In Wowhead, I take no credit for all of this. You can all read about this on Wowhead. You can just go over here onto Classic and then classes, and you can click on here, Fury Warrior, and you pretty much land here. And you can read all of it if you want. There's a lot of things about. Like if you want, I can make a more comprehensive guide, pretty much summarize the information that is here, some information that I have personally. I can give you some tips and such, but yeah, overall, there's a lot of information in general. What how I would summarize it is, try to get new weapons as soon as you can. Try to buy some cheap consumables like crit and strength and such. Um, Especially level your first aid because it's way faster than just having food, but you also want to have food. And try to fight the mobs that are like green. Don't try to fight mobs that are red. Especially if you're two-handing, or even like one hand, of course, even more so, because you will miss a lot. They will hit you a lot harder than green level mobs, and it will take a way longer time. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You can do dungeons, you can do questing, doesn't really matter much. The difficulty of leveling warrior is a bit overplayed. If you know what you are doing, it's not really that hard, to be honest. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, if you want to if you want to have an in-depth leveling guide, I can also make one. But yeah, we are like kinda in phase 4 and anniversary. Maybe it's too late for that, but yeah, no problem. Yeah. Okay, now you are level 60. What should you do? What would be the best option? You actually have a lot of options. So I made this 60 upgrades pre-rate BIS list because I couldn't find one that is really up to date. I found an older one, but that doesn't really make sense to explain because a lot of items changed. And yeah, I just froze this out in like 5 minutes. 60 upgrades is a site where you can easily create characters, BIS list, pretty much character presets. And yeah, that's pretty useful for this. Okay, so I froze this around. This is pretty much what I would say is the pre-rate BIS right now in phase 4. Um, so the thing you should do at level 60 is look at your talents. Probably respec. I'm going to talk about this a bit later, how your talents should look like. And look what you should do. One thing I would recommend is while you are leveling, like in the 50 ranges, try to get some of your pre-rate BIS. So what should that be? Things you can get in dungeons. Actually, these are wrong. You can't get this in pre-rate BIS, sorry. There should be these ones. Yeah, exactly. Then you have also 4 of 6. You can get 6 sets. I don't remember what. So you have armor and helm. Yeah, okay. Whatever. So this is in facto, I would say, de facto pretty much free at BIS. What you should do when you are level 60 is you should look what you can do. And also what's really important, what I wanted to say earlier, sorry, kind of lost the point. What you should do is when you are like in level 50 range, you should do farm your pre-raid BIS in dungeons. What I mean by that is some items in here are available already when you are level 50. And some of these items are Mark of Support Ring, which you can get from a quest in, I think, no, was it Eastern Platelands? Yeah, Eastern Platelands. You can get it in Eastern Platelands. And yeah, you can get it from there. It's kind of buggy, that quest line, and it can be kind of annoying. But yeah, you should definitely do it. Also do your attunements, that's also really important. When you're in that level range, try to do your attunement, do your Nixia attunement, do your one core attunement. One core is really easy, you just loot like, takes the quest, loot like one thing in BRD in front of the MC entrance and be done. Turn in the quest, you are MC attuned. Onyxia has a huge chain and can be really annoying. But yeah. But you should do it your attunements. Also, backbring layer is really easy. You just kill one mob in front of Ubers and loot an item, accept the quest, go into Ubers, full clear it, or buy an empty ID, and click the orb thing at the end, by the end boss, and then you are attuned for Blackwing Lair. GG has no attunement. That's pretty much it. So yeah, you should do some preparations when you are like in your 50s. So you have an easier time at 60 and have more time for other things. Like getting Marco Fort Ring, like sets from quest, getting trying to get a Pain Weaver band. There are other rings you can also get instead of that one. You can get Tarnished Elven Ring, you can get Magnus Will, or you can get, where is it? Blackstone Ring, I don't know where it is right now. Yeah, there. You can also get this ring in Morolon. All really good rings, but this is pretty much a pre-raid this ring. So yeah, also Hand of Justice drops in BRD. You can also get that in the 50s. Diamond Flask is from quest. Requires level 50, as you can see. And yeah, this bow is also. Also, yeah, this one is also from dungeon. So in a strap form, can also do it 50s. That's the one thing. Try to get, before you reach 60, if you're lucky, try to get some pre-BIS items. Some items are even BIS later, so you should definitely, most important things are like these two. Should definitely try to get those things. Rush these too, because they are BIS all the way. Same as yeah, same as Lionheart Helm, for example. Other than that, next thing you need to do is PvP. You can see a lot of items are Field Marshal gear and Marshal gear. That's from PvP ranking. And pre-raid BIS, how it is currently, older lists are only like up to phase 1. And in phase 1 we didn't have PvP ranking. Didn't really have PvP ranking. So that was a thing. But now we have, now you can rank till rank 14. And if you have the time, if you want it, you can do it, because the pieces are also, of course, best in slot overall, some of them. So yeah, that's what you should do. It's kind of boring, of course, but yeah, there's no going around it if you want to be BIS. So what pieces are from PvP? You have Field Marshal Plate Shoulder Guards. You have Berserker Bracers. You have your 2 swords. You have these hands. You have this belt. You have these legs. And you have these boots. And you also have this ring. And this is also from, I think, yeah, also from a quest in Outtake Valley. So, best way to do PvP is to spam AV. If you spam AV, you can also get reputation for Attack Valley and also can get this ring. You will get reputation pretty fast. So even though you are not rank, like you will be, I don't know, maybe rank 6 or so, and you will already exalted. When you are exalted, you can buy this ring, and this ring is really good. Like you get 1% crit, 1% hit, 16 attack power. So yeah, it will keep you happy for a long time. Other things you can do is when you spam AV, yeah, you of course get your honor, get your ranks up. A really good add-on I can recommend is Ranker. You pretty much need that add-on if you want to rank up, because it can tell you exactly how much honor you need to farm each week. At the beginning, it's pretty easy actually. You don't need to farm that much, but yeah, it will get harder and harder. And I also will try to farm, definitely farm honor when AV weekend is up, because you can get a lot of honor. Like on a line side, you can easily get 5k per run, pretty easy. So yeah, try to get that. Then needs a lot of perseverance to continue farming. If you don't want to farm that or all of that, I can also make a new one like this, and just for rank 10. So if you just want to grind to rank 10 and not rank 14 because it's too long, this is the minimum I would recommend to grind for, rank 10 at least. So how would the gear look like at rank 10? So you wouldn't have these, you would have different ones. That would be these ones. Like what would I say? I would say more reasonable pre-bis. These ones are like Exalted, Warsong Gulch. These are really annoying to get though. Like Warsong Gulch, getting Warsong Gulch to Exalted is pretty annoying. So I'm gonna replace this. These are of course rank 14, so nope. We don't use two hands. Double rinse would be one choice. That can be pretty annoying. Also have another alternative I will mention a bit later. So you have martial gear, which won't happen if you have that. So the replacement would be, let me look. Good question. What is the replacement for this? Let's use Valor for now. I need to check actually the replacement. Yeah, we will check in a bit or whatever. For this I would use this. Legs would be these ones. Boots would be yeah, these ones. All of this can stay. No, yes, this for just one quest. Easy to get. Yeah, you could use this. Let me check if I have. You could use these one, for example. One thing you could use. Death grips are also pretty nice if you are like tanking dungeons, because you're immune to this arm. But there were other ones. Also, I forgot you can also buy some BOE ones from MC if you have the gold. So that's also an option you have. But yeah, you need to watch out for that. They can be really expensive. So look for them. It's one option. Let me check right now for hands. Maybe we have some here. Sorry, I'm kinda unprepared. Ah, yeah, Citizen Soul Gauntlets, of course. You can get those. That would be an option. Like 1% crit. These are from the group. Let me check in phase 1. Real fast. We are going to get through this also as well. Yeah, Citizen Soul Gauntlets. Yeah, for example, you get those. I think there are probably some better choices, especially if you don't use set or whatever. Yeah, you can get Devil Souls Gauntlets. Hands are like there are a lot of different options you could use for hands, but yeah, you want. So this would be a more reasonable pre-rate BIS to use, like grinding to rank 10. If you don't want to do PvP at all, this is going to be a bit harder, definitely, because you're not going to have access to this. You're not going to have access to these legs. Then it's going to be harder, actually. Then you would replace these ones with where do we have them? Blue Strike, and you would replace these legs with Devil Saw. Yeah, now we have a lot of it as well. That's what you would do, could do, if you don't want to do PvP at all. Also, you don't have access to this, and so you would use probably Blackstoning, or yeah, probably this one. Or you could use Magnus Will. That would be also an option. So yeah, now we have 9% hit even. Problem with this is, so I would strongly recommend to try to at least grind to rank 10 or rank 8. If you grind to rank 8, you don't get the shoulders, but you can get it, at least get the legs. I think they are rank 8 or rank 9. I think they are rank 8. And these would be like these ones, because these are really insane. 12 strength, 2% hit. You won't be able to get the shoulders, but to get the 2 set bonus, you can also try to get, if you can't get Savage Gladiator Chain, you can get the rank, whatever it's called. I think Sports and Light. Yeah, these ones. Like 1% crit, a lot of strength, and then you also have the 2 cent. Like you can play around a bit with your gear. However, like I said, I would recommend to just grind to rank 10, and then you are good. This is, I think, pretty reasonable pre-rate boost you can acquire. Like the thing I mentioned previously. These ones. Savage. And yeah. Try to get these ones, and maybe you are lucky. You can also use this also. Pretty nice for 2% hit. And of course, you want to have Doomsday. You should definitely do some ABs because of this ring alone. Like try to get exalted to be able to buy this ring. Weapons, if you can't get the rents because they're so contested, and if you have some gold, you can get Crow. Yeah, okay, whatever. You can try to get Crow Blade. This is a BOE epic item, so it can be pretty expensive. And the other one, sorry, is Quill. No. Am I wrong? So is it a manual one? Whatever? Oh yeah, okay. Oh, I forgot that. Okay, the manual one. Then maybe go for something like this. Yeah, you can try something like this, or you can get a Crawl Blade, go for something like this. Or if you don't want to spend money at all, I think there's Storm Strike. Yeah, this one. You can also get something like this. These are like, you have different options for weapons, definitely. However, the rents are beating, if I'm not wrong, all of these options. So try to get these at least, because you are going to do some runs anyway. Lionheart Helm is, you should definitely save up and try to get this one. However, I think you can quite easily get into the G-Packs and grab some gears there. So yeah, so should be pretty easy actually to just get up from that. However, the best thing overall is just to spam PvP and try to get to rank 14 and just get all that gear from there. So yeah, that's the best option. So that's pretty much the thing you should do at 60 when you're fresh 60. Spam PvP would be the best option. Trying to get the pieces that are BIS, and also some private BIS pieces if you want to do that. Like some pieces are BIS all the way, like Hand of Justice and Diamond Flies. These are probably the most important ones. You should definitely try to get these. Yeah, that's one thing. Okay, let's go to talents. So how should your talents look like at 60? You're fresh 60. You definitely want to respec, because you are going to use talents that are not the same that you were using while leveling. You are not going to go arms. You're definitely going to go fury. So let's start in fury. You go 5 and 5 in cruelty. It's pretty important. You go unreal wrath for more rage. We use two one-handers, so this has actually way higher chance to proc than using a two-hander, and we definitely need to rage, especially at the beginning. We go 5 and 5 in improved battle shot. This is the only one that gives us pretty much an damage increase. Like cleave is not really negligible, if you want to be honest. It's pretty useless. This could be used in some situations when you need to kite mobs and don't really have a hunter or something. Blood Craze is not not that strong, to be honest. So yeah, you go 5/5 and improve battle shot. Next, what you want to do. So we are level 60 anyways, we can go either way. Not really important. Want to do this. We definitely want to grab Death Wish, which since we are 60, it's not really important. Like this is not really important. We can go either way. We can go dual wield spec first, this first, grab Death Wish what we want. So we are just respecking. This talent, Flurry, is one of the most broken talents that like in all of Classic pretty much. Because we have 30% attack speed boost. And this is really insane. Like this is such a big damage increase we have. Haste is really insane and really rare actually in Classic. We have way more haste than like TBC, like these like from trinkets and such. But in Classic it's pretty rare, and this is an insane damage increase. So here we go, blood first, and now we look. You go over here. So the standard you would, the standard thing you would pick is like you would go like this. You can go one in here, but it's not really important. You definitely want to have this. You go 3 and 3 here. Go here. You go here. You go here. And now we have 2 more points, and we can spend them in improved execute. So this is a standard build you would do pretty much. So some questions. Okay, why do we pick certain talents? Why do we not pick certain others? So first of all, why don't we pick improved cleave? We don't pick improved cleave because even though it says the bonus increase the bonus damage done by your cleave ability by 40%, if we skill 3 it would be 120%. but it actually does exactly what it says. But it sounds way stronger than it actually is. So when you do a cleave, um, it does your main hand damage pretty much, plus some extra damage. And the only thing that this talent increases is that extra damage, and the extra damage is really small. So even if you have it by 120% boosted, it's not really anything. So we don't pick this talent. It's nothing. Next thing, um, what we can do is we could do like, pick this up. Okay. Slam, we don't use this as Fury. Improved Berserker Rage, we don't use this. Improved Intercept, we don't use this. PvP talent. Why don't we use Booming Boys? We need this one is straight DPS increase. Even you could argue it's not much, but yeah, doesn't really matter that much. So we pretty much only pick like DPS increasing talents. What we can get. Why do we pick improved rents? We only need it so we can get further down, because these are like straight damage increases. Improved heroic strike is pretty nice. What we can also do is we can take 1 point off here, and we can instead put 1 point in improved overpower. This is a different spec we can play. So if we have 25 rage or less, and Bloodthirst and Whirlwind are on cooldown, we can switch stances to arms, if overpower, of course, is available to us. Do an overpower, then switch back. Um, this is really good if you have really low rage. So it's actually a damage increase if you do that, but it's kind of hard to play because you need to watch out. Um, do I have low rage? Yes. Is Bloodthirst and Whirlwind on cooldown? Yes. How much is it on cooldown? So I don't waste any time. Like, for example, let's say Bloodthirst and Whirlwind are on cooldown, but Bloodthirst has like 2-second cooldown. If I switch back, that's 1 GCD. Then I use Overpower, it's 1 GCD. And if I switch back again, it's another GCD. By that time, I probably lost some time on Bloodthirst. So yeah. Other thing, I can really grief myself if I like, let's say I have like 70 rage and I see Overpower. Oh, I need to press Overpower, and I switch stances and I just lost all my rage. So it's kind of dangerous to play with that. However, it is in DPS increase if you do it optimally. Yeah, that's kind of. I would recommend. Personally, I even use that right now, but yeah, I don't really use Overpower that much. So I will probably also switch to like 3-3 Heroic Strike. So yeah, this will be the talent build you will use at level 60 and in raiding pretty much. So that's for that. That's for DPS. Of course, if you are tanking with 2 one-hander, your build will look different. You will probably go into Defiance for more threat and such, but that's not. This guy will mostly cover DPS. I could make a separate video about tanking with 2 one-handers. To be honest, my knowledge is not that strong for tanking, but I could just do some research. If you really want to have a tanking guide, I can make another video about that. So yeah. Okay. So that's what you do at level 60. Just to summarize, try to get some some BIS pieces even earlier at level 50, especially like Diamond Flash, Hand of Justice, Mark of Fortring maybe, Don Julio's Band if you do PvP even earlier. And when you are 60 or even before, you can do AV even if you're lower than 60. Spam a lot of AV. Try to get at least rank 10. If you go even higher to rank 14, that would be even better, because then you're really geared and you can get a lot of pieces just from PvP ranking. Okay, that's for that. Next thing, let's talk about actually best in slot. So right now we are in phase 4. Some things changed around, so I want to talk about these things. And yeah, just talk in general, what is best in slot, what should you aim for. So right now we can actually look at Wowhead again. There's a really good BIS guide and general just warrior guide what to do. It's actually also pretty easy to find. You can just go on Wowhead, Classic, Classes, and then you can find it here on Fury Warrior. Then you can scroll down, Black Lazy G phase 4, and then you have your BIS list. One thing you will notice, a lot of text, of course. Some gearing advice, weapon skills already here mentioned. I will also talk about that a bit later as well. Weapon skill is really, really important for warriors. It's really important. So it's also really important what race you pick. That's what I said also at the beginning. So you can already see that here. We have human and we have orc, and we have nothing else. So our races, I will talk about it, whatever races will use, no problem. But you can also read it here. So you need, if you pick another race, you need to have edge masters or like things expert gold miner mode, or use daggers with Magus belt or H-core leather gloves. H-core leather gloves. Like you need to get your weapon skills from somewhere. You need 305 weapon skills. It's really important. If you can't get that, that is a really big damage loss. And I will show you some examples later when I talk about simulations. You will then be able to see that. Okay, about hit cap, we have some important things that is pretty important. Also, weapon skill affects hit cap. If you don't have 305 weapon skill, you will actually need 9% hit, not 6%. That's minimum, by the way. Why is that minimum? If you have 6% hit, your yellow hits, like your abilities like Heroic Strike and such, Bloodthirst, Whirlwind and such, will always hit if you have 6%. Like, they won't always hit, they will never miss. They can still be parried, they can still be dodged and such, but they will not, but they will not miss. That's really important. So if you don't have 305 weapon skills, 9%, which is harder to get. So yeah, that's also another thing. If you have 6% hit, you can also go over that. That's one thing I often hear and I often see people talk about. They talk about, yeah, you only need 6%. No way you really don't get anything over 6%, don't get it. It's such a waste. It's such a waste of DPS. That's actually quite the opposite. You will see when I do some simulations later why that is not true. Hit is significant, can be a significant increase, especially compared when you have full world buffs, because you can get quite a lot of crit and it will lose value over that, and compared to hit. And you can see if you get more hit, also your game is way more consistent. One thing I will mention though, don't overdo it with hit. That's one thing I will say. You don't want to have like, I don't know, 12-13% hit. That's way too much. You don't need that much. But right now we can even see this. If you go over stats and we look right here, melee hit, we see we have 10% hit, 10.2. I don't know where the 0.2 is coming from, whatever. Yeah, we have 10% hit, and this is still BIS, and this is really the best in slot. These are really the best in slot items. I will talk a bit more in detail when I explain these items a bit more detailed, but yeah, these are pretty much set in stone. We can also look at here 4 different presets. So what we can see is we have human BIS rank 14. That's what this or AR14 stands for. We have normal human BIS without any PvP. We have Orc BIS rank 14 and we have Orc BIS rank 10. These rank 10, so rank 10 is actually the similar one to the human one. So if you would only go for rank 10, you would grab the same items besides the weapons, of course, because these are axes. Orcs have axe skill, humans have mace and sword skill. So you would still use these weapons with that gear. I don't know why there's no human rank 10. I don't know. Whatever. Talents, you can see these are pretty much the same. I also showed you previously. So yeah, both are pretty much the same. Like cookie cutter talents, I would say. So yeah, let's go over the items. I could talk about the items here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to scroll a bit down. Yeah, one thing I want to mention is, however, here, yeah, we are going to talk about this when I'm going there. So yeah, I'm going to talk a bit about the items, piece by piece. One thing that is really useful about the site and guide is, I'm going to zoom a bit. Just a bit bigger. One thing that's really useful is you can also see alternatives. So let's say you can't craft a Lionheart helm because you have no gold or whatever. You can also see alternatives, and you can also see some alternatives are close to what we have. For example, we have a Lionheart helm, which is pretty much BIS until TBC. But if you clear trash, you can use other items like our helmets just to not die and use our wall buffs and such. So, for example, Lionheart has no stamina. This one has a lot of stamina, like 29. This one has even more stamina, like 34. Also, what Tim mentioned. What's the enchant that we use? Lesser Arcanum of Voracity. The thing is, this is a really expensive enchant, 8 strength. What I would like is if there would be only any alternatives mentioned. There's another enchant you can use, which is way cheaper, which is called, I think, Arcanum of Rapidity. Can you look? This one, which gives you 1% haste. You can use this on the head and legs. I will show you the legs later, which is way cheaper. The problem why this is so expensive, the book that you need for this item is really expensive. So that's a problem. I would recommend, if you don't have the gold, or if you want to, or how would I say? How would I say that? Yeah, I think the best option is like save your gold for more important stuff like consumables and such, and just get the 1% haste. Maybe if you have a lot of gold and this gets maybe cheaper, go for this one. So yeah, 1% haste, I would recommend that. Next thing, what do we have here? We have the neck. We have a new neck that drops in GG. Between these ones, this one is really easy now to get because a lot of people already cleared Onyx here. If you are in a guild, I'm just guessing, but I think everyone will probably have this one already. So this is probably pretty easy to get. Just join any Onyxia, try to SR the head, or join a guild and they can get it for you. And other than that, this one is a new one that's a slight improvement over Onyxia Tooth Pendant. As you can see, you get 1% crit, 40 attack power. This one has 1% crit, 1% hit, 12 agility. So this one has a bit more attack power. So yeah. You can, yeah, this one is the best in slot neck, but its difference pretty small. So don't stress yourself on that. Next, we have rank 14 shoulders. I'm not going to talk about these ones that much. Just get rank 14 for it. Yeah, so easy rank 14. Not going to take ages. Definitely not going to take ages. Actually, for this you only need rank 14. 13, sorry. So yeah, it's not that much. Definitely. But yeah, if you don't want to do that, you can get these from Black Lair, Black Talon Pauldrons, Black Talon Pauldrons. However, I would recommend just go for these ones, coupled with the legs you can get from rank 8, and you have also 40 attack power, which is pretty nice actually. So yeah, maybe let tanks get these ones first, but I don't really know if tanks even want these over. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Uh, what enchantment are we using? We are using the Zandalar shoulder enchantment for 30 attack power, but this one's kind of hard to get because you need to be exalted with the Zandarars, with the new ZG rep, and this will be hard at the beginning. But if you do ZG every time it's up, it will be pretty easy and you will be exalted in no time. Okay, like let's go to the next ones. We have Cloak of Draconic Might. Cloak is a bit weird because we have a lot. We don't really have a lot of options, and there are like weird drops. For example, our Abyss is from Trash in Black Miller. It's pretty rare, actually. I don't think I have ever seen that one. Next one is we have a World Boss, and for everyone who knows, like World Bosses are really hard to get because there will be people that have alts pretty much AFK every at the World Boss, and they will just notify the guilds when it's up, the moment it's up, and yeah, well, you will have no chance to get the World Boss. So yeah, so what's more realistic is probably this one, Cloak of Firemaw. However, I think other classes are better for this one. I don't remember correctly. Maybe Hunters, I think, probably wants this more, and Rogues, because it has raw attack power. But I'm not too sure about that. I could be wrong. Yeah. So what can we get? Pre-rate Biss is Cape of the Black Baron, but yeah, compared to this one's Wars, it was a lot less attack power. Pray you get Lucky Trash Drop and drop one of these, because these should be going to Warriors, especially if you're Alliance, because you get a way better boost. 16 Strength is a lot for Warriors, and yeah, these ones should be going to Warriors. Next one, what do we have? We have Chest. Also, oh yeah, I forgot. This is a really cheap enchantment, so yeah, you should definitely get, even if you have like a War's Cape like this one also, you should definitely get this, because yeah, it's really cheap, and enchantments always look good. You don't want to be that one warrior that doesn't even have the cheap enchants and doesn't even have the cheap consumables. Then there are going to be problems if you win an item. Yeah, Savage Gladiator Chain is bis till AQ. Maybe you can coerce someone, a healer, to help you farm it. It's really annoying to get, to be honest, because you need to be lucky to get a certain enemy to spawn. There can spawn multiple. It's always luck, and then the mob also needs to drop that item. So yeah, good luck. That's pretty hard to get. Another alternative you can get in Black Lair is this one. I personally have this one. It's a really good item. It has 40 strength, 22 stamina, and some armor. It's a really good chest, and you really won't have any competition for this one. For example, when it dropped in my raid, nobody really wanted that one. But it's really close actually to Savage, the SGC, and it's even better than SGC in recklessness situations. But yeah. So what we are using as an enchant are +4 to all stats. This one is really expensive to get, so I would recommend, if you want to save a bit of gold, to go for +3 on stats. I think the enchantment is just called stats. So yeah, other than that, you can also get rank 13 chest, or you can get yeah, carnivorous armor from dungeons. There are a lot of chest options you can go for. Next one, what do we have? We have berserker braces. We have braces. So the problem with these ones is you need to be Warsong Gulch Exalted to get these. If you really want to do that, you can of course do it. I personally don't. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to farm Warsong Gulch Exalted. It's really annoying, and you have the most triad PvP people in there with full consumes, and yeah, it's not a fun time. So yeah, I'm not going to farm this. Um, Alternative is this one. That's really close. They are pretty equal. You get that one in Molten Core. It's a shared drop. Personally, I haven't seen a lot of these, but I don't think these are really rare to get. However, we can have some catch-up ones in ZG that dropped that are new. You need to be honored with the new reputation, and you need to drop this one. This token you can just turn in, also shared with rogues and shamans. But yeah, you can just get this one, turn it in, and if you are honored, and get these ones. 13 strength, 13 agility, 13 stamina. Pretty good catch-up. Better than these blue ones you get from dungeons. Oh yeah, I personally haven't gotten these ones yet. Also, this is also pretty funny that with the group we got new hands and these abyss for us. Best in slot, pretty much. So yeah, from the high priest we have like 5, I think. Yeah, we have like 5. There's a chance one of them can drop these. And as you can see, 19 strength, 1% hit, 1% crit. And these actually beat out Flame Guard gauntlets. So previously what we had is we had in Molten Core multiple bosses could drop these. Flame Guard gauntlets, 13 stamina, 1% crit, 54 attack power. I personally don't have these ones. And yeah, you could get these. And now we have new ones in ZG that are actually pretty easy to get. What I would recommend is if you do ZG, especially like at the beginning, I would, if you do SRs, I would probably SR one of these because these are BIS and they are pretty easy to get. And I don't know if every warrior knows about these actually, because when I did ZG a couple of times, like twice, yeah, I did it 2 times and nobody, I think only one warrior is at these, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I got lucky and also got these, so I can chill and SR other things. And yeah, I would try to SR these actually because they're really good. And this, what I also forgot to mention about bracers is you want to have this enchantment plus 9 strength. It's kind of expensive, but yeah, not really expensive. But what you can also get if you are really cheap, you can get plus 5 strength, and plus 5 strength is really cheap, one of the cheapest enchants. People will even offer it for free sometimes. So yeah, you should definitely have bracer at minimum plus 5 enchantments. That should be given. For these ones, for the enchantment, we want to have plus 7. That's a kind of unique enchantment. You need to do. Not everyone has this one. But yeah, some bot installment will probably have this one. So yeah, try to get this one. It's not that expensive, pretty cheap. You can get this one. One thing about gloves that is pretty important. When you aren't a human or orc, your BIS gloves are always edge masters. Always. You don't have a choice, pretty much. So you need to like farm some gold. I don't know, do some other dubious things, whatever, to get that gold and buy edge masters. So let's, for example, if I'm a dwarf warrior or whatever, I'm edge masters are my BIS pretty much. There's no other option. Why are they my BIS? Because I need to get some weapon skill from somewhere, and edge masters are the best way to get that. So throughout the whole expansion, expansion. For its whole classic Edgemasters are my BIS. You can also read it here. Other races, however, must buy the expensive Edgemaster handguards to competitive damage for the rest of Vanilla WoW. As they are these best gloves for non-human or orc all the way to DPC. So yeah, that's pretty much true. You will also see that later when I do the simulations that that is true for Edgemasters. So yeah, let's go to the next one. Belt. Belts. Onslaught Girdle is BIS throughout pretty much all of Vanilla until next Neramas. It drops from MC, from Mountain Core. It's really insane. However, we got a catch-up new belt from ZG. Also another token, so yeah, get honored if you don't have Onslaught and try to get this. I actually got lucky. Got it in my first raid, ZG raid, and I got this one. Yeah, it's like 25% weaker, like it says here. But it's really easy to obtain. So if you don't have Onslaught, you should definitely try to get this one. It's really easy to get. Yeah, and Honored, you can just buy some coins or do some ZG runs. I think you can easily get Honored in like 3 ZG runs or 2 if you use some coins and such. So yeah, it's pretty easy. Next one, we have Legs. So Legs, we used to have Cloud Keeper leg plates, also Abyss. However, when we got Diamond Flash, we can't use both of these cooldowns together, so we can't use Cloud Keepers anymore. So we don't use it. What do we use is we use PvP legs, both of them, either way. So either way you rank till rank 12, so you use the epic ones, or you just rank to rank 8 and use the rare ones, the blue ones. Both of these are really good. So yeah, I should definitely rank till rank 8 and get these ones. These are really nice. If you don't want to rank, you can get these ones from Firemaw and Blackwing Lair. These are alliance only, however. Other than that, I don't think the other ones are really comparable. Yeah, either get these ones or get these ones. What we use, we have the same situation as the helmet. I would recommend just use 1% haste and save your gold for something more important, unless you have lots of it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, next we have boots. Boots is another slot where we have a piece that is above everything else. These are the chromatic boots. So chromatic boots dropping in Blackwing Lair. You really want to get these. These are really insane. So you have 20 strength, 20 agility, and 1% hit, some stamina. Drops in the second to last boss in Blackwing Lair. And there are some other boot alternatives. You have PvP boots that are also really good, but as you can see, they have less DPS stats, so less strength, less agility, also 1% hit. So these are pretty comparable, but these are not that as good as chromatic boots. Next one, we have 2% hit boots and 44 attack power lever, but I think there are other classes that can use these ones better, like ropes, for example. So yeah, you can also try to get these ones, but these are really expensive. They have 20 strength, 20 stamina, and 1% hit. Boots of Heroism from the 0.5 quest chain that is also available now. But yeah, only get these like it says here if you really want to do the quest line. So you can get these. These are missing like 20 agility compared to chromatic boots. Yeah, boots are like kind of weird with their options, to be honest. We don't really have a lot of raid boots. So we have one really good choice, and the other ones is probably better for another class, but yeah, if you can get it, good. What it's interesting, you want to use minor speed as an enchantment. There is also agility that you can get. This one, greater agility +7. But we don't want to use that one because movements yeah, we don't want to use that one. Only in a specific case we will use that one. You want to use minor speed because minor speed is just nicer overall. We can get to bosses faster, we can dodge things faster. Just overall quality of life enchant, and yeah, that's why we use it. However, if you are revered in AB, a Reti Basin, you can buy some boots that have already the run speed applied, pretty much, as their, yeah, as effect. So they have 14 strength, 12 agility, and equip once run speed increase like slightly. So they have the same effect, but what you can do is you can actually enchant them with greater agility. So instead of 12 agility, they would have like 19, and you have kind of comparable boots to chromatic, but not really, because they don't have fit and such. Yeah, but it's also an option. Maybe you are an Arati Basin enjoyer and you didn't know that. I don't know. Okay, next thing we have. Next thing you have rings. So rings are kind of interesting. We have a lot of different options. The best ring we have definitely is Quick Strike ring. So Quick Strike ring from Molten Core drops from multiple mobs. Really? I think it only drops from Gar. I'm wrong. Oh yeah, drops from 4 bosses. I only seen it once. So, yeah, whatever. So yeah, Quick Strike ring, really insane ring. It has 5 strength, 1% crit, and 30 attack power. So that ring is BIS till TBC. We will use that all the way throughout TBC. More interesting is what do we use as a second ring. There's a really easy ring and easy good ring you will get when you reach Altec Valley Exalted, which you will really fast, which you will get really fast if you just do PvP, because Altec Valley is the best and fastest way to get honor. The Don Julio Spand has 1% crit, 1% hit, and 16 attack power. Pretty good ring, and that's one ring you could use. All the rings are pretty much like really close to each other, all the top rings. Another ring you can get in Blackwing Lair is Circle of Applied Force. This one has just raw stats: 12 strength, 22 agility, 9 stamina. This is a really good ring, especially if you're in Alliance, because you can get kings, and if you have the ZG wall buff, which is pretty much in better kings, then you can really benefit from this one. Other ring you can get is from Head of Nefarion, which gives you 14 stamina, 84 attack power, and 1% hit. Mastered Rank Slayer ring. It's also a really good option as the second slot. So yeah, I would say these 3 rings, like Assassia also, are really close to each other. Other than that, if you can't get these ones, there's also Band of Akurian Molten Core, drops from Ragnaros, which has 2% hit, 16 agility. However, that one I would recommend for tanks to get it first, because they benefit from it a bit more. What you could get is from Zoo Group, you can get Seal of Jin, 1% crit, 20 attack power. So we have a lot of different ring options. Definitely what I would get if you don't really have good rings is try at least to get Julio Spend, which you get from Outer Valley Exalted. The other rings just need to be lucky in raids pretty much to get it. But yeah, you have a lot of options. Trinkets. So trinkets are kind of interesting in vanilla, because we don't really have a lot of trinkets. So one trinket you definitely want to get is Diamond Flask. That's a quest. You can start at, I think, level 50, and you need to collect some feathers in Sunken Temple. It's pretty easy, that quest, and it's all the way BIS until TBC. Why is it BIS? It has a 6-minute CD, and what it does is gives you 75 strength for 1 minute. 75 strength is a lot. Like, it's really insane how much 75 strength is, especially if you combine it with other buffs. And yeah, that's why it's also by BIS till TBC. Make sure you don't pick anything else than Diamond Flask. If you do, well, then yeah, you kinda fucked up your character. So I don't know, whatever. Yeah, diamond flash is really important to get. So that's one trinket you're going to use. Second best trinket is Drakefang Talisman. However, one thing that's really important to say, Drakefang Talisman is not as good as it was in the previous iteration of Classic. There has been some math, and it's really important that you focus your gear progression on other items first. Only if you have like everything else, I would go for Drakefang Talisman. Why is that the case? When 2019 Classic released, there was a lot more lag for proc effects and such. There was a higher batch window, I think, and that's why Hand of Justice procced less than it is right now. Now, however, Hand of Justice is proccing more because the lag is less, and it's closer to Drakefang Talisman than ever. So I wouldn't go for Drakefang Talisman. Focus on chromatic boots, things like also girdle, quick strike ring. I'm pretty much reading what it says here, but yeah, I'm just trying to summarize it a bit. We really focus on other things first. You also want to focus on weapons and such. Don't be like, I don't know, stuck. I see a lot of DPS right now, and warriors and such. They that SR, Breakwing Talisman, and things like that. So it's like it says here, it's pretty much propaganda. I wouldn't really. First of all, it's going to be DPS by like I don't know, 10 DPS or so. So be the smart one. DPS, SR, like chromatic boots, weapons, and such. Or use it to your own advantage, like that. Because let them SR Drakefang Talisman and SR the really good items, and you have a way better way of gearing yourself. So yeah, other than that, what you're going to use is pretty much Diamond Flash and Hand of Justice. If you get Drakefang Talisman, congrats. That is going to replace Hand of Justice. But yeah, you also want to have another trinket in case Diamond Flash is on CD. And because Diamond Flash on CD is useless for you, so you can switch it with another trinket. Like Black Hand's Breath, you can get from quest, gives you 2% crit. Or if you need to hit and some attack power, you can get Rune of the Guard Captain, which is a Horde only quest you can do. Yeah, there aren't really a lot of trinkets you can use as a DPS, but you definitely want to switch trinkets a bit around. So now we have main hand weapons. Main hand weapons are kinda important to talk about because you have a lot of difference between the two main races you are going to use. Humans and orcs. Humans are going to use maces and swords. Orcs are only going to use axes. If you are really unlucky, like let's say you are a human and you are really unlucky, but you got really good axes, you could also go for Edge Masters handguards, for example, buy it and just use the really good axes you have. Also an option. I would only go that way if you have really a lot of gold, pretty much, and don't need anything else. Other than that, I would just pass the access maybe to your hunters or something, if you are alliance. So, what is BIS? For humans, Empyrean Demolishers, pretty much BIS, all the way. Why is it BIS? Because it's just insane. It has a lot of damage, and it has an insane effect. It gives you 20% attack speed. Like I said previously, attack speed is really rare. You don't see it in a lot of loot, until TBC at least. And that's one thing. Other thing is that it has a lot of damage. It says here next Rammer's level weapon. So yeah. Problem is you only get it from a world boss. And yeah, world bosses are kind of impossible to get for normal guild. So what are some different alternatives you can get? You can grind till rank 14 and get Grand Marshal's longswords. Really nice weapon. but the grind is really insane. So yeah, you need to see if you want to do that. If you do that, however, you can get a really nice weapon. So what's for people that don't really want to do grind that, like me, for example? What is Orbis? So Orbis would be something for the main hand, like using chromatically tempered sword. It drops from Blackwing Lair. We have actually a lot of different weapons we can go for. We have that sword that is pretty much better than all the other swords because it out-damage them quite a lot. 20 tempered sword has a nice damage, has 14 strength, 40 agility, 7 stamina. It's a really insane sword actually, really good. What you could also try to get is Whisk Cake, and we could also try to get Brutality Blade. Brutality Blade is one hand sword, 9 strength, 9 agility, 1% crit. Problem is, all of these swords are really contested. Brutality Blade especially is also used by hunters, just because of the stats. So yeah, it's kinda hard to get these swords. That's also why a lot of people just grind till rank 14 to escape that competition. Sorry, escape that competition. Those other ones are not really comparable to these ones. You could use Spine Shatter, for example, if you just have blues. One hand mace you can get from the first boss in Blackwing Lair. It has 9 strength, 16 stamina, 5 defense, and a nice amount of damage. It looks like a tanking weapon. Okay, I don't know what that was. But yeah, it's still actually pretty good. So yeah, you can use that as a human. It's a mace. You get your weapon skill. Other than that, let's go to the orcs. Orcs can also use a rank 14 weapon. They have a really nice axe in form of Deathbringer from Onyxia. They can use 2.9 speed, so really slow, a lot of damage, 114 to 213, and also effect does some damage. So yeah, they can use that. They can also use the axe from Nefarian. That drops 13 stamina, 36 attack power, some nice stats. And yeah, that's an option. Funny thing is, even here, Empyrean Demolisher is mentioned as an option. Mace with 2.8 speed. Even though you can't really get any mace skill for orcs, so yeah, so that's pretty interesting. But I guess the effect is just way too nice. So that's even an option here for orcs. Okay, what's with our offhand weapons? We can use rank 14 again, offhand weapon, Grand Marshal Swiftblade, chromatically tempered sword, so one hand weapon mentioned before. Maladef appears here. We can use that as an offhand. The thing is, why is an offhand weapon? Because it's kind of fast. It has 2.2 speed. And yeah, that's why it's recommended as an offhand weapon. If you don't really have, you really want to have a slow main hand weapon. That's the reasoning for this. So yeah, our BIS actually would be if we want to be realistic, because we can't really get Imperial Demolisher, and we don't want to do PvP. BIS for humans would be chromatically tempered sword and Metal as an offhand. That would be our pre-raid BIS, or like phase 4 BIS. So yeah, whatever options are there, Brutality Blade I already mentioned. Now what appears a new sword we have with ZG, Warblade of the Hakari. So Warblade of the Hakari is a really fast sword, 1.7 speed, but also has 40 attack power, and for that speed also actually some nice damage. So we can also use that one as an offense. Another option that opens up isn't really mentioned here because we only are looking at human and orcs, is the main hand of that weapon, because it's actually a set, and the main hand has 1% crit. It's also really slow. I can look at that. Give me a second. Go to my car. Where is it? This one? Yes. Yes, the main hand has 28 attack power, 1% crit, and also kind of the same damage, 1.7 speed. We have two problems with this weapon, and also some good things. First of all, it's really fast and the damage isn't really high. So especially at like cleave thing, so when you are cleaving, it's not really good. That's one thing. So you wouldn't really use it as a main hand. It's good for tanks actually because it's really fast. Other problem we have is the speed is the same. Like main hand and offhand has the same speed. But that is a problem because of heroic strike queuing. What we want to have is we want to have different speeds. So when we are queuing heroic strike, our offhand will hit before our heroic strike finishes. So that we get even more rage, and our offhand benefits from the 6% hit we get from heroic strike. I will explain that a bit later as well. So yeah, there are tricks we can pretty much desync it. So we have one hitting other after the after the another, whatever you call it. There are ways we can do that, tricks the game a bit to use that. However, another thing that's really important is the set bonus. The set bonus gives us +6 to sword. So if we are playing a race, like dwarves for example, as my example again, we can use these swords and don't need to use edge masters. So they are like a cheaper alternative you could actually use as your weapons. That's one option you can go for. So you get actually +6 weapon skill. That is more than enough, and you are good. Yeah. So these were the ones offhand for humans. I don't really talking about the pre-rate ones. Horde is kind of the same. We also have rank 14. We have the Neferin X, like I mentioned previously, and we have a new X that we can drop from our car in ZG. Has 2.0 speed, so it's a good offhand, decent offhand. We also have some BOEs like Furry X and such you can use. There's also a dagger in Diamond we can get that gives us daggers +6, which would be enough to fill our weapon skill requirement. So we could actually even use daggers with that one. But there are also gloves that are giving us the same bonus. Probably more interesting to use for classes who don't have a weapon skill. Ranged weapons or stat sticks like hunters have with their main hand and offense. We only use this for stat sticks, and our best ones we can get is Striker's Mark, which gives us 22 attack power, 1% hit. So we could use that one. A new one we got Gurubashi Dwarf Destroyer, which gives us 30 attack power. I actually got that one recently. So yeah, also a nice stat stick, and the other ones are like, yeah. Range weapons are not really that interesting. They're just stat sticks for us. Like 1% crit, some agility, hits, whatever. Not really interesting for us. So yeah, that are the items we can get. Next thing I would talk about a bit about simulations and such, and I will switch over that now. And this makes a lot of difference. If you set everything up, you can just press on DPS, and then you will have your green funny number that will tell you how much DPS you will do. Of course, this is highly like maximized, because it's simulation. Like it's not really like don't worry if you aren't really if your DPS isn't really similar to that one. There could be a lot of things that could be different, but it's also good. It's always good to know what would be like the maximum you could do if you gear this gear you have. This thing, this simulation is really useful if you want to compare different gear pieces. If one gear piece is better than another. The things you have in vanilla is actually quite complex because you have a lot of different stats. You have crit, you have hit, you have strength, agility, like your main stats, and a bunch of other stats. Also like weapon skill, for example. So this is really important. One thing I want to show you is why weapon skill is important. This is a really good example, actually, to show you. Right now I am playing a human and I have dull rents. So dull rents are from dungeons, from Upper Blackrock Spire. So of course they are not the best swords. I don't have any other right now, so yeah, I got kind of unlucky. But yeah, these are the swords I'm using right now. And since I'm a human and human have sword specializations, I don't need to use something like Edge Masters. So yeah, I don't have that one. But what would happen if I maybe would have the option um, to get really good access? So let's see what would happen with that. Let's try to find some access here. What was one? I think Deathbringer, yeah. And this was the other one. Drops from Nefarian, I think. Oh, I made a mistake, sorry. Deathbringer, what it was called for offense. So yeah, now I have two axes here, and both of these do way more damage than my weapon I had before, like my two swords. For comparison, Deathbringer alone does like 114 to 215 damage. The Rent main hand does like, is it? No, that's the offense, sorry. The Rent does like 81 to 151, so way more damage. So what should happen is I also should do way more damage here. So what happens? I do less damage. So 20 DPS less with way better weapons. So how can that happen? What is the reasoning for that? That's because of weapon skill. In the game, we have a thing like that is called. So weapon skill is a unique stat, unique to vanilla actually, and no, actually it exists in multiple expansions, but we can't get it in other expansions. So we are stuck at 300 in other expansions. Not really 300, but whatever. So yeah, we have weapon skill, and what we want to have is we want to have 305 weapon skill minimum. Why that is important, I will show you that in a moment. But that's the reason we want to have weapon skill of 305 minimum. The reason is because we are fighting higher level mobs. We are fighting level 63 mobs because raid bosses are 3 level higher than you. What is happening is the following. First of all, we need a high enough hit chance to hit the enemy. Hit chance is one of the most important things we need to consider as a warrior, because it's not that important than other classes. There's kind of unique mechanic to warriors. No, there's a unique mechanic to warriors. Because of that, we don't really need that much hit, but whatever. But the thing is, we need, of course, first of all, we need hit. If the mob is higher level than us, we will have less chance to hit that enemy. That's first of all, so we need higher hit. Other thing is we have glancing blows. What are glancing blows? Different things can happen when you hit an enemy. You can hit them normally, just you can critical hit them for more damage. But also there's like the opposite of critical hit, which is a glancing blow. Glancing blow does reduce damage, and it also depends on how much weapon skill you have compared pretty much to the opponent. It's a bit complicated. I don't want to get too into detail. Weapon skill. Basically, what happens if you have more weapon skill, your debuff that you would get, for example, let's say you were critical, if you hit an enemy critical, you would 200 damage. If you would hit an enemy for glancing, if you would do a glancing blow, you would hit your enemy for 50% damage. So what weapon skill does is it increases the damage that glancing blows do. So instead of 50% damage, you would do like something like 70 or 80 or something like that. I'm know the numbers and don't really know the numbers on top of my head, but yeah, that's basically it. So that's the thing you want to minimize. So that's why we want to use weapon skill. But there are diminishing returns, so we don't really want to use too much weapon skill. 5 weapon skill is pretty much enough. We don't really need more than that. We can use more than that, so our the enemy dodges less and things like that. But it doesn't really gives us much of a benefit. We would rather have other stats. So that's why weapon skill is really important. You want to minimize your glancing blow damage, and you want to minimize the hit chance you need. So weapon skill also affects that, because if you don't have +5 weapon skill, you will need to have 9% hit for your yellow hits. Yellow hits are your abilities, things like heroic strike and such, to hit the enemies. You will need to have 9% instead of 6%. I don't think I mentioned that, but I will. Yeah, I will mention that more in detail when we go to the next point, like the rotation and stuff. I should have mentioned it in best slot, because you can also see the stats, but whatever. So yeah, basically what happens is, if you don't have 305 weapon skill, you will need to have 9% hit rating to hit with your yellow hits. If you have 305 weapon skill, you will only need 6% to hit with your yellow hits. And yellow hits are like your abilities, like Bloodthirst, Heroic Strike, Whirlwind, things like that. That's really important, because if you miss, you do no damage. And if you do no damage, you are sad and do no damage. So yeah, that's the thing. So what I wanted to test, kind of long of a tangent, but as you saw, I used way higher damage weapons, but I still did less DPS. So how can that be? Actually, what I can do is I can replace this helmet. This is my BIS helmet, best in slot, pretty much. Lionheart helmet for whole of vanilla. But instead of Lionheart helm, I will use a weird helmet like this one. From the first point, like if you would look at that item, you would maybe think it's pretty bad. It has 5 agility, 6 stamina, but it has increased access +7. Yeah, that's it. No crit, no hit, nothing. The funny thing is, however, if I no sim it, no, I do way more damage than even with the Rens. With this shitty helmet. This helmet is another source you can get weapon skill from. This helmet is a BOE. I think it drops in Morolo, maybe, if I'm not wrong. I forgot, to be honest. No, it wasn't Morolo. Maybe it was Ulaman or something. Yeah, as you can see, it's level 33 helmet, but it has +7 access. And from this alone, you can see how valuable actually weapon skill is. Beforehand, I used the best in slot Lionheart helm, and now I'm using this, and this does more damage than I had previously. So it's kind of weird. So this is a perfect example how you can see how weapon skill kind of skews the game, and why races are so important in this game, which race you pick. Because if you don't have a human or don't have an orc and use a specific weapon, you're going to have a lot of headaches. Where are you going to find your weapon skill? It's kind of a secondary hit, but it's even more important than hit. Because hit is kind of pretty easy to get, but weapon skill isn't. Like you can see, you have only one helmet that has weapon skill. Or this one also has daggers. Okay, I don't know where this is from, so whatever. Yeah. Let's try to change this again. Another thing is, let's see if I would pick. I can do this test again. So yeah, now we have 955 DPS. Before, when I used that shitty 33 helmet, I did 990 DPS, so it's like 40 more. And I used way worse helmet. So that's the thing. That's why people use Edge Masters for so long, because weapon skill is that important. Another thing we can test is I can just set this to Dwarf. This will give me a better ability to test it actually. So yeah. So I set it to Dwarf. Dwarf don't have any weapon specialization, so yeah, I can test this. You can see 881 DPS with my Lionheart helmet. Let me pick no, I need swords. Okay. Let me pick, where is it? Edge Masters. Here. Let me pick Edge Masters. And now you can really see the big jump in damage. Before I had like 880, now I have 941 DPS. This is still less than human. I had with human. But it's pretty comparable actually. Also dwarf have more strength, so like that's where it comes kind of close, but yeah, it's not much. There you can see these hands offer nothing more than weapon skill, but this is a perfect example pretty much, where you can see how much this really matters. Because I just picked human at the start, I don't have to think about this. I can just use swords or maces and I'm good. But if I would be dwarf, I would need to either get edge masters or maybe get like this expert goldmining helmet and axes, or maybe magus belt and daggers, or edge core leather gloves and daggers. So yeah, you really need to have your weapon skill in check. That's the problem if you use other races. With this gear also I have a lot of hit, so I don't need to worry about that, but still, as you can see, if I'm not using this, if I'm using actually the BIS pieces, this one, these are BIS, best in slot, I do less DPS than with Edge Masters. But the problem is a lot of people blindly just buy Edge Masters because people all the time saying these are best gloves, these are the best gloves, blah blah, you need to use them, blah blah. And then they are human and use swords and also use Edge Masters. And yeah, that's pretty yikes. You just wasted a lot of money, a lot of gold. So yeah, don't do that. Look at what race you have if you really need Edge Masters. Edge Masters are really strong, the best hands you can get if you are playing a race that needs them. If you don't need them. Yeah, if you are human, you don't need Edge Masters because you can just use swords or maces. So they are just a random epic BOE. You could maybe use if you have access, get some really good access. Yeah. Other than that, you don't really want them because they are huge waste of gold. Kind of. You would probably sell them. That would be better unless you don't really care about gold. So yeah, that's kind of a thing you need to consider. Other than that, I can also show what would happen if I would. I can think about it. Yeah. Okay. Also, same thing if I would use Goblin helmet with a dwarf and just use 2 axes, same thing would happen. So get your weapon skill in check. You need 305, and then you are good. And you don't need to worry about that, or just pick a human, pick swords or maces, and you're also good. Then you don't need to do this. Yeah, but you can see how this side can be really useful, so you don't make mistakes like that and buy Edge Masters on human and use swords, or do another mistake where you use things like axes or something as a human and maybe steal them from other players that would rather need them. Maybe from your guilds who have like edge masters already, or like hunters that need them for their stats. Don't try to be that guy. Really look if you really need them, because you saw when I picked axes, really good axes, actually kind of this ones, and then they were useless because they did less damage than my blue dungeon swords. Actually, that's kind of insane. Yeah, so don't try to be that guy. Other than that, this is the you can use the sim site and a simulation site. I need to do that again. And yeah, I don't want to forget I had this. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, 955 DPS. Other than that, there are also some settings you can do, like your kill timers, how much simulations you want to do. Oh yeah, what I forgot to show is also another thing that's really useful about this is you can yeah, let's do this first. So I do this DPS and we can look at stats. So yeah, the thing is we can see here, let me see, you can see your DPS from the different simulations, the spread pretty much. And the other thing you can see is what did the most damage. And also the thing you can see is your glancing. So this is your glancing. And as you can see, you have like 40% glances in your hits. So this is also a thing you can look at. As you can see, my other abilities don't glance, only my main and offhand. So this is the thing. What would happen if I would pick instead would pick a dwarf and do the same? Oh, I need to disable that. That's really important. So yeah, I do less DPS, and let's look here. So we have same glance shrines. We have yeah, everything's basically kind of the same. But yeah, as you can see, I did of course less DPS, so the numbers are a bit different. And this also you can see what did most damage. We have a nice charts you can look at, try to understand. So I actually wanted to see is how much reduced damage my. Yeah, okay, never mind. I thought I could see that a bit clearly. Whatever. Next thing we can do is what I forgot to mention beforehand is we can also use other things. You can also use this one, sheet DPS. If you are using this one, I don't want to use this one because this takes a really long time. It pretty much compares all the items and you can see what items would be an increase for you if you would use that. That's kind of difficult to use though, however, because sometimes you break a set and then it's kind of difficult to compare really. You need to kind of know if that really would be a DPS increase for you or not. So yeah, you can, but that can still be useful. Another thing I would say is even more useful is like stat weight, because if you use this, you can see what stats would be the most DPS for you, would bring you the most DPS. And as you can see, we have strength, which would give you 1 DPS per strength point. Agility would give me less, makes sense. Attack power would give me less, makes sense. Because strength, of course, gives me 2 attack power per strength. Crit chance gives me like 6 DPS, and hit chance actually gives me 9%. So that's kind of interesting. Can I edit this? No, I don't think so. Let me look at it. I need to. Okay. Yeah, but this would be a thing. For example, you could wait. Isn't there like can you just use this? So now I have a 10%, and let's do DPS. And as you can see, I got like 20 more DPS actually, even though I was already at like 8%. And I'm human and I have all my weapon skills, so I don't really need that much hit. So normally what will happen at 6%, my yellow hits are capped, so they won't miss. But yeah, even though I'm at 10%, I still get. I was at 8%. I still get a DPS increase if I just get 2% my hit. So hit is actually really underrated, and just from simulations alone and so on, people like underrate hit a lot, and they say just get 6% and don't get any more hit because everything else is more important. Although that's not really true, as you can see here. Another thing I can do is I do this against set weights, and now what should happen is unless my unless something's kind of wrong. Yeah, as you can see, like just kind of lowered, and no, crit's kind of more closer. So yeah, with all world buffs and such, you have a really high crit chance. So crit kind of gets less important. So hit chance can get can become quite important. So yeah, try to build it around like that. One thing you should also remember: don't go over, don't overdo it. I talked a bit really good about it, but don't overdo it. Yeah, you don't need like what, I don't know, one like hit caps. I think 16%. You don't really need like 16% hit. So yeah, one thing I would mention. But also don't underrate it. Like even if you have 6%, even if you have like 7-8%, you can still use things that could decrease your hit and get the benefit of that from that. So yeah, a lot of talk about this again. Like I said, it's a longer video. I'm sorry if it's a bit boring and I'm talking a bit too much, rambling a bit. But yeah, that's a lot. I want to be as clear as I can and explain things, um, yeah, a bit more clearly, just so you can understand it a bit better, and also repeat a bit what I said, so it's a bit easier to understand. Like I said, this is going to be an one and all video pretty much for gives you like an summary, and like I said also previously, you can just skip if you don't want to, if you just want to get to know about a certain part. I will try to make timestamps and such, try to offer links and such. So yeah, yeah, but also like I said, if you want to see a specific part in more in depth, just tell me. Okay, now we have rotation and abilities and such. Also, I'm using Wowhead again for this, um, because this is really important. And yeah, rotation is really important as warrior. What most people say is, yeah, classic's pretty easy. That is true, definitely. I wouldn't say anything else. You have like mages who only have like one spell, like crossbow, but and you would think like warriors would be kind of the same. They are not kind of. Um, in basic, they are actually pretty simple. They have like three abilities actually that are the most four. Yeah, actually kind of four. But yeah, here most important you have Bloodthirst and Whirlwind, which you use on cooldown, and then you use Heroic Strike when you have too much rage, and then you use Execute when the enemy is below 20%. That's just the gist of it, what you would use. But there's a lot of things you can do to min-max it, to get more DPS of your class, to improve your rotation and such. So yeah, let's just go over them a bit. What we have here is we have new rotation. We have single target and AoE. For single target, execute is your highest priority. Execute you can only use, of course, when your enemy is below 20%. So that's one thing. So yeah, if your enemy is below 20%, spam execute. That's really important. Use your cooldowns and such. So this does so you do even more damage with execute, and also what's really important. For example, recklessness with execute is a really good combo, and really you can do some insane damage with that. Yeah, because execute does a lot of damage, because you do like 125, and each extra point of rage gives you 3 additional rage. If you use recklessness, you auto attacks crit, of course, and you can get even more rage, and you get more damage, and execute does more damage, and you execute crits, and that does more damage, and so on. Other than that, if you are in execute range, use Bloodthirst on cooldown. Bloodthirst scales really well with your attack power, as you can see, 45% for your attack power. So it's really good, especially if you have more and more better and better gear. One of the biggest reasons why Warrior scale so good, but first. Then you have Whirlwind. Whirlwind AoE ability. you also use instant cast, also use on cooldown. However, Bloodthirst should be prioritized. That's really important. On single target, of course. You want to use Bloodthirst always if it's on cooldown, even if Relevant is also available. Other than that, if you have enough rage over, you can use Heroic Strike. So that's actually where the complexity of warrior comes, managing a rage. You only have 100 rage. When you can look at this, you have Bloodthirst that costs 30 rage, Whirlwind costs 25 rage. So you have that to consider. You have 55 rage you need to spend on those. So you need to make sure you always have enough rage to use those on cooldown, pretty much. The moment they become available, you need to use them. Use Bloodthirst and then Whirlwind. You always should aim for should aim for that you have enough rage to use those abilities. Other than that, most people say you should use Heroic Strike if you have like above 70 rage, which is generally true. Yeah, you can definitely use that. But what you can also do is like you can play around a little bit about it. Like maybe if your Bloodthirst and Whirlwind are on cooldown and you have some rage over, you have like 20 rage or something, you could use Heroic Strike, try to get lucky. Maybe you offend crits or something, I don't know. Then you really need to look at your Bloodthirst cooldown and such. For example, let's say you use Bloodthirst, and you have that is on 6-second cooldown, you use Whirlwind, that is on 10-second cooldown. Now your Bloodthirst is like on 5-second cooldown, you still have like a bit of rage left, you can just use Heroic Strike. Even if you are armed on 70 rage. Because what should happen is by the time Bloodthirst is again available, you should still have enough rage for that and Whirlwind again. So yeah. Basically use Bloodthirst, Whirlwind, then use Bloodthirst again, and then Whirlwind and such. And try to maybe fit in Heroic Strike in the middle if you have enough rage. If you have every wall buff, enough wall buffs and enough consumables and such, you will have pretty much enough rage all the time to just spam Heroic Strike. That's why it becomes like the highest, one of the highest APM classes, because you can just spam Heroic Strike, and like some people just bind their Heroic Strike on scroll wheel to just permanently have Heroic Strike up. Other thing that's mentioned here is Hamstring. Could also be used to dump extra rage. Hamstring is like an ability that can proc things. That's why it's used. It's a really low cost of rage. You would maybe think, why would I use Hamstring? It's a PvP ability. Yes, but it also is pretty cheap, and it doesn't eat your Heroic Strike. It doesn't eat your auto attack. So that's pretty important. So could use Heroic Strike to fish for procs, and if you are playing on Horde, you have Wind Fury. So I will explain a bit what Wind Fury is. Wind Fury is a totem that shamans can use. Everyone in their group pretty much gets a Wind Fury buff, and what Wind Fury does is it can grant you another auto attack. That is really, really strong for warriors, because if you use Wind Fury can proc on abilities and also on autos, and if it procs, you get more rage because it's an auto attack, another auto attack, similar to Hand of Justice, similar to like other effects that grant you an extra swing, because it's a white hit, and white hits are normal auto attacks, and these ones grant you extra rage. And if you have more rage, you can use more abilities, and that does more damage. So Wind Fury is really, really insane for that. So basically, what you can do is if you have enough rage, Bloodthirst and Whirlwind are on cooldown, you can just use Hamstring and fish for more Whirlwind procs, more Wind Fury procs, sorry. And then you get more rage and you get more damage. So that's what you can do. Another thing I want to mention that's really important is, why do warriors need 6% hit? Only 6%, and other classes, like for example rogues, are so hungry for hit. They are both melee classes. Why does one only kind of need less. The reason for that is how Heroic Strike works. So Heroic Strike has a hidden like feature, hidden thing. What it basically does, it eats your auto attack, and basically your next auto attack does more damage. Normally, how you would generate rage, you get rage by getting attacked, you get rage by attacking things, auto attacks. That's really important. You don't get rage from abilities. That's really important. Just from auto attacks. So you get hit, you get rage. You do auto attacks, you get rage from some of your abilities actually. Like if you use blood rage, you get rage, but you know what I mean. Or you can also get rage from some consumables, like rage potions. What Heroic Strike does, it pretty much blocks your main hand auto attack. Very important, main hand auto attack. And your next main hand swing, instead of being an auto attack, it is an ability actually. It's considered as an ability, and it does damage. That's also why we don't use Heroic Strike when we are leveling, because when we use Heroic Strike with a two-hand weapon, we don't generate any rage. Yeah, that's one of the things why we don't really want to use Heroic Strike with a two-hand weapon. With two one-handers though, our other one-hander that isn't the main hand still does white damage. So it still can auto-attack during this time when we are pretty much like casting in Heroic Strike. Or what we would say is we are queuing in Heroic Strike. So we press Heroic Strike, our next main hand attack will be an Heroic Strike, which is an ability and does damage when our auto attack would land. But our other hand weapon, or offhand, still does a normal auto attack. So what the game does is the following. Abilities have different hit chance than normal auto attacks. So abilities have, if you want to cap your ability to hit all the time as a warrior and you have 305 skill, you will need to have 6% hit chance. The cap is a bit different though. Cap, I think, that would be the soft cap, what also people talk about. The other thing is your auto attack. Your auto attack need way more hit than that to be capped. So your auto attacks, like your white hits, not your yellow hits, your white hits, need way more hits. Like I think it's 16% if you use dual wield, or is it 26%? Something like that. Definitely way more than 6%. So that's a problem. However, when you queue in Heroic Strike, your offhand weapon also gets the same benefit as an ability. So it doesn't need that 16 or 26% anymore to hit. It only needs 6%. So if you have 6% hit, anytime you queue in Heroic Strike, your offhand will guaranteed hit. And if your offhand hits, that's the thing where we use dual wield also. It's a huge benefit. You will get rage. Your offhand still can generate rage when you queue in Heroic Strike, because it's still a white hit. Just one generates rage. So basically, what is happening? We queue in Heroic Strike. By that time also our offhand hits. Our offhand hit, and we also get rage. And we could queue another Heroic Strike, or do some, or could use other abilities, whatever. So there's a tactic you could use where you use a macro or something where you can queue and unqueue, or unqueue your Heroic Strike. So you could queue an Heroic Strike, then your offhand hits, and then you remove your queue. So you remove your Heroic Strike, you don't auto queue it anymore, and then you would get actually more rage. However, that's not really recommended to use, because first of all it's really cumbersome to use, especially if you have, when you have, like I said previously, when you have enough ward buffs, this doesn't really matter anymore, because you can just spam Heroic Strike. You will always have enough rage. And yeah, other than that, it's also kind of cumbersome because you press it, you queue it, then you press it again, you unqueue it, and this can be kind of annoying and is not really worth the effort to use it. So yeah, you can use it definitely, maybe to mix a bit, but it's not that worth to be doing it. I would just rather focus on getting enough buffs and consumables instead of this. Another thing, yeah, this is pretty much it. This is why Work Strike is so unique, and some call it a bug, some call it unintended. I would say it's kind of both, to be honest. But yeah, that's why warriors, for example, only want like 6% hit, or not more. So just so you know, AOE rotation is kind of different. You use Whirlwind, Execute, you use Blood first, but you want to focus like more AOE abilities. Also like Cleave. Cleave is pretty much a similar thing to Rogue Strike. Also has that offhand thing, but you hit more than one enemy with it. Yeah, you hit 2 enemies. So it's the same thing, but it's also queues. Instead of queuing a Rogue Strike, you queue and Cleave. Also, a thing what it does is it actually has less threat than a Rogue Strike. So if you have a lot of rage and have threat problems, a lot of damage, and your tank can't hold up, you can use Cleave instead of Heroic Strike uh, to gain less threat. So yeah. Other than that, we have, of course, the stances. You should always be in Berserker stance unless you need to do something need to get something from other stances. Like maybe you need to taunt something or you need to use the shield and need to use shield wall so you don't die or some things like that. But yeah, you win most of the time. You're on Berserker stance if you're a DPS, of course. Other than that, these are your main abilities. Like I said, most difficult thing about warriors, not really the rotation. Like it's actually pretty simple. You use Bloodburst, you use Whirlwind. Then, if you have enough rage, you can use a Rogue Strike. But if the enemy is below 20%, you just spam Execute. So yeah, that's it. That's pretty much the whole rotation. Yeah, that's kind of classic. Other classes are even less. They just use one ability like Frostbolt. But the thing what's difficult about warriors is managing rage correctly, because the worst thing you can have is you can be rage stuffed. And similar thing is people say like warriors scale endlessly. That's not really true, but they scale multiplicatively, I would say. So they don't really scale linearly. Linearly. Sorry, hey, English. Yeah, that's a problem. So that's a thing that is true. However, still it's really important how you manage your rage, because you're still capped at 100 rage. So you still have that cap. You can you also that, and you also capped by your GCDs. So people say you scale endlessly. That's not really true. You scale really hard, and you scale multiplicatively compared to other classes, because rogues are more limited than that, because they have because they have rage, energy, and energy is more limited than that, and you can just spam all abilities more than rogues. But yeah, that's the thing. That's why warriors are a bit so like not complex, but they have a lot of depth to use. The rotation is actually pretty simple, but you can use a lot of things to further increase that rotation, and rage management is very important, because when you are rage stuffed, you can't use abilities, and you also have the problem you can get kind of comboed, because when you are rage stuffed, you can't use a Rogue Strike, so your base hits, like your white hits, will have less of a hit chance to hit, and then you can get really unlucky, get no hits, and get no rage, and get no abilities, and that can be a problem. So you will just auto attack praise it, you get some mighted, so you get some rage, and so you can do your rotation further. That's a problem. Also, the opposite is again true. If you have a lot of rage, you can just spam enter the abilities and do a lot of damage. Because if you do more damage, you get more rage, and if you have more rage, you can do more abilities, and if you have more rage, also you can do more work strike. Your offhand hits more, you get more rage, you can do more work strikes, and so on. So yeah, but like I said, you are still limited to 100 rage. That's a thing. So yeah, that's kind of all about the rotation. It's not that complicated, but you can still do micro things to improve your rotation. What I would recommend is really look how you manage rage, and consumables make such a big difference in how much rage you get, because if you have enough consumables, you need to care less and less about your rage management. Yeah, and if you are below 20%, just spam execute. Also, another thing I forgot to mention is when the enemy is below 20% and you are in execute phase, what you can also do is you can queue your heroic strike at the same time. What that will do is your offhand will then have a higher chance to hit, and you get more rage, which will increase your execute damage. So you can spam executes. But what can also happen is you can be rage stuffed more because you don't do enough damage with your offhand, and you can't use an execute. So use and lose and GCD and execute. That can also happen. So yeah, kind of risky there. But if you have enough buffs and such, you should use Blood Heroic Strike definitely during execute phase. Yeah, okay, this was a lot. But yeah, this is pretty much about the rotation. Okay, next thing. Next thing we have consumables. Consumables. These are really, really important for a warrior. The difference between using consumables and I think what is this? Oh, it's add-ons, okay. I will pick, yeah. I will pick both. I will talk about the same things. Consumables and buffs. First, the consumables. Consumables, like I said, are really important for a warrior. The difference between a warrior not having consumables and a warrior having consumables is such a stark difference, because, like I said, they scale a bit differently than other classes. Because if you do more damage, you get more rage, and if you do get more rage, you can do more abilities, and if you can do more abilities, you do more damage, and so on, and you can get more rage again. So yeah, that's why it's important that you need to have your consumables ready if you want to do a lot of damage. What this guide does is really nicely and cleanly summarizes the top consumables you can use. So first of all, what we have is we have elemental sharpening stones and dense sharpening stones. These are quite cheap, dense sharpening stones. These ones are not. These sell, elemental sharpening stones sell for like, I think 19 to 23 gold, something like that. So yeah, they are not really cheap. That's only one elemental sharpening stone, by the way, not a stack or something. Only one, like 19 to 23 gold on my server right now. Then sharpening stone, I don't even know, but they are way cheaper than that. Way cheaper. What these will do, you can use these on your weapons. If you are alliance, you use these on both of your weapons. So you use, for example, let's say you have two elemental sharpening stones. You use one on your main hand, one on your offhand. These are actually really insane because they increase your critical strike chance by 2%. So you get 4% if you use two of them. It's actually pretty insane. How you get these is blacksmith can make these. These are the receipt is a really rare drop from Mountain Core. I actually got the receipt, so yeah, I craft these a lot because they sell for a lot. But yeah, you can get this from MC if you're a blacksmith, and craft these. Also, dense sharpening stones are also created by blacksmith from dense stones. Both of these. You should definitely try to get dense sharpening stones. They're pretty cheap, or maybe just buy the dense stones and ask the blacksmith to craft some for you. If you are, what I forgot to mention, if you are horde and also have shamans in your group, like maybe you are unlucky you don't get the shaman in your group, but if you have shamans that provides Wind Fury, you only use one on your offhand. That's really important, because the Wind Fury buff is kind of a sharpening stone, because it affects your main hand, and if you have a sharpening stone, you can't get the Wind Fury effect on your main hand. Wind Fury only procs on your main hand, and that's why you only want to have a sharpening stone on your offhand if you are horde and in the Wind Fury group, so your main hand can still get the Wind Fury proc. You only use one. That's really important, because this is really nice 2% crit. You will lose out on that, but another hit is actually way more damage than that. So yeah. Next thing we have is Juju Power and Juju Might. What these are, you can do a quest in Winter Spring to get in cash, and then you can get these like echoes, for example. Yeah, things like these. You can get these from different mobs, and if you have 3 of them, let me see. Here are the different mobs, and if you turn them in, you need to do a quest beforehand where you need to kill some, where you need to what was it again? Where you need to collect some crystals in Winter Spring around like elite mobs, and then you get in cash, and then you can farm these. You can also buy these off the auction house. That's also possible. Then if you turn them in, free, I think 3 apiece, 3 per quest, you get 3 of these. And what these do is they give you a buff. They can give you 30 strength for 30 minutes, or they can give you 40 attack power for 10 minutes. What you want to have is really, you want to have these ones, because they are really, really strong. You get these by having Frostmaul Echoes. Frostmaul Echoes, the problem is they only drop from elites, I think. Yeah, they only drop from elites, and they're really expensive. I think on my server they go for 10 gold a piece, and you need 3, so 30 gold for 3 of these is pretty expensive. But yeah, that's how it goes. What you can do if you have the cash, it's really important, so you still need to have the cash in your inventory. I think it's called cash or something, cash. Yeah, this thing. You want to have this in your inventory, and if you have that, you can just right click that. Also make sure you target yourself, else you give the buff someone else. That of course didn't happen to me. Yeah, but yeah, make sure you use it, and then you can get the buff for yourself. There are replacements for these. I will show you them later. They are, I think, down there somewhere. Other than that, we have the next thing we have is Elixir of Mongoose. So Mongoose, that is the potion that can alchemists can craft these ones. They give you 25 agility and 2% crit. Like, yeah, really insane consumable. If you think about it, the amount of crit you can get and the amount of strength is like if you would have another warrior, pretty much. It's really insane. So you really want to have your consumes. Yeah, nothing more to be said. This is also really expensive, Mongoose. So next one we have Mighty Rage Potion. Yeah, Mighty Rage Potion pretty much says it gives you rage, and then what it also does is increase your strength by 60 for 20 seconds. What you want to do is you want to use all your cooldowns pretty much right at the end of the fight. So like the last 20-30 seconds, you want to use all your cooldowns. You first would use your flask at 60 seconds, pretty much when you have 60 seconds left of the fight. then you use your Death Wish at like 30 seconds, and then you use your, if you want to, you use your Recklessness if you have it at like 15 seconds, and before that a bit your Make the Rage Potion like 20 seconds. I would recommend doing like some macros so you use more than, so you don't need to use like 4 button presses or something like that for that. But yeah, you want to stack all your buffs pretty much, and then pump. You can use you can pump at the end. Yes, that's what that does. Gives you like 60 strength and a lot of rage. Really good for execute phase. So this is a summary of all the consumables. These are like ward buffs. I will mention these a bit later because I made a picture you can look at. So yeah. So what we have here is a bit more information. Mighty Rage Potion is class specific. We are like the only ones that gain Rage, and of course Swords, but yeah, that's not that important. But yeah, still class locked to Warrior. So other things we can use is we can use Flasks. Flask, the only one I would recommend is like this one, Flask of the Titans, if you want to. It gives you a lot of HP. The problem is this one is also really expensive, like 120, 150 gold for one flask. I think that's how much it goes for currently on my server. But yeah, these ones don't increase your damage, but they majorly increase your survivability. So if you die, you lose all your consumables buffs, of course. So that would be a kind of security you have there. But yeah, it's really expensive. Other than that, you can also use this. Increase your resistance to all schools of magic by 25 for 2 hours. Gives you a lot of resistances. But yeah, you need to. If you don't have a lot of gold, focus on these ones. Don't buy elemental sharpening stones if you don't have a lot of gold. Buy these instead. This would give you more of a boost, to be honest. Yeah, you could also see the thing is about sharpening stones because they are 30 minutes and they don't get removed when you die. So they are kind of important, but personally I think they are kind of overpriced. So yeah. However, there are also cheaper alternatives for everything because for sharpening elemental sharpening stones you have dense sharpening stones, and for all of these there are also cheaper alternatives. You will see them later. Yeah, one of them is actually here. Okay, we have Mongoose. If you don't want to buy Mongoose because it's expensive, I think it's I don't know, currently like 19 gold or something. Yeah, these are really insane, but if you don't really have the gold, you can buy these instead. Like of great agility. These are really cheap actually, and they cost way less. They give you 25 agility. But let's read this. You can do all in all, it gives you 3 and 1/4 for crit chance. If you're on budget, you can use great agility, but the strict 2% crit downgrade. So of course, the cheaper consumable is of course a downgrade. Like makes sense. But yeah, this would be another alternative. What you should do is definitely always bring some sort of consumable, because first of all, especially if you are like in a pack or something, you don't want to be that one warrior that has no enchants, no consumes, nothing. Yeah, you don't want to be that one. Those are also the warriors that get where people are going to start drama if you win some gear piece by roll or something, and then they're going to discuss if you are even if you should even get the item, even if you want it. So yeah, always try to get some consumes, even if they are cheap, even if they are not the best. Always try to like enchant also. Enchant you I didn't talk about enchants. Yeah, I can also go over some enchants really fast, like after I'm done with this. Next thing we have food. We only have really two things we can use as food. These ones are now available. You can get the receipt and syllabus, and you can like farm some worms, get some meat, and then get the I think sooth, I don't know, spice or something was called, and then you can make these. These give you 20 strength for 15 minutes, actually pretty insane. But these are also pretty expensive right now. I think a stack costs like maybe 80 gold, something like that. Or 40 gold, I don't really remember. If you don't want to get these, there's a cheaper alternative, but also kind of annoying. But you should anyway do that anyway. And you have those ones, these ones. These give you only 10 strength for 10 minutes, but you get them from the Argent Dawn vendor, so you can't cook them or something like that. And you need to have the Argent Dawn rep at Revered, which is kind of annoying, but you should anyways get that to Revered, so you don't need to pay that much later when next Mirrors releases for the attunement. So yeah, as you can tell, those items are similar for everyone. The dumplings are crafted and won't be available during the earlier phases of the game. But right now in phase 4, we have these ones. No, right now in the game, in anniversary. So yeah, you can buy these or craft these or whatever. But these are a lot. These are really expensive, and also the meat is also really expensive to buy. So yeah. Next one we have Rumsey Rum you can use. This gives you a stamina buff for 15 minutes. Really important for tanks. And I think you can only fish those, if I'm wrong. Black label size, but can also easily step up golden green rock anytime you do diamond. Yeah, actually I didn't know that one. It's good information. Next time in Dharma, I think I will buy some of these just to not die and lose my world buffs. Yeah. Next one we have elemental sharpening stones. Like I said, they give you 2% crit for 30 minutes. And like it says, this is also separate from normal weapon enchantments. Like it says here, you will Alliance players will use these stones on both of our weapons. When you are on a horde, players will only use this elemental sharpening stones on offhand when you are grouped with a shaman of Wind Fury totem. Like I said previously, because the Wind Fury buff overrides. Doesn't override, but it's the same slot as this one. So if you have this on your main hand, you won't get your Wind Fury buff. Okay, next one we have Jujus. So what we have right here is we have Juju Might and Juju Power. Both of these can be farmed in Winter Spring Quest Reward. I already mentioned these. We don't have. Okay, that's kind of weird. We don't have the alternative. Okay. Then I will mention the alternative myself. What's this? Yeah, okay, that's not really important. Whatever. As you can see, Juju Might gives us attack power. Other thing we can use, or also I think I can just switch over here or by the sim, and you can also see this consumables. As you can see, switch here again. Oh, sorry, this was the wrong one. Consumables work kinda in a way if they buff a certain thing, like attack power, for example. Another consumable that will buff the same thing would override that one, especially if it does more. Like for example, Juju Might and Juju Power are the highest one we have right now. So there's nothing higher than that would replace these. These are the best ones you can use. So, however, and we can use both of them. However, if we don't have that much gold, these are actually not that expensive, so you should try to grab some actually. But if you don't have that much gold or don't want to get them, we can also get instead of Juju Power, we can get this one, Elixir of Giants. This one increases your strength by 25, so it's 5 less. But it is for 1 hour instead of 30 minutes. So yeah, and it's way cheaper. This one is way cheaper. Especially way cheaper than this one, but this is another buff. So yeah, we could use those as well. As you can see when I click on this gets grayed out because they share the same slot pretty much. So you can only have one of those. Like either buy those of the optionals or try to get these, one of them. Other thing is we have Juju Might. the thing is, sadly, both of these are really expensive. So this one is really expensive, and this one would be the replacements also really expensive. So the replacement of Juju Might would be Winterfall Firewater. Winterfall Firewater gives us 35 attack power, so 5 less, and increase our size. But the problem is, first of all, they also share one slot, like I said previously, but they are only farmable. You can't craft these. They only drop from certain mobs in Winter Spring. Kind of weird because they look like a consumable alchemists could make, but no. You can only get these from Winter Spring mobs, and they are pretty expensive. I think one costs like 19 gold or something. So I think they are even more expensive than these ones because yeah, you pay 30 gold, but you get 3. So like 10 each. This one's like 19 gold, 17 gold, something like that, and it's also less. So yeah, both of these are really expensive. So yeah, if you want to have all of your consumes, you need to look what you want to get. Also, what didn't get mentioned in the guide, you also have this instead. If you don't want to farm Argent Dawn Rep or don't want to pay a lot of gold for these ones, you can also get this. This instead gives you agility. However, gives you 10 agility instead. So if you really want to have a damage, these are also really expensive, by the way. I think a stack costs like 40 gold or something. All of this is on Spine Shatter EU, by the way, so I don't know. But yeah, I would highly suggest at least farm Argent Dawn Rip so you can buy these because it's just extra 10 strength. Okay, so these are some of the replacements you can get. Yeah, so if you don't want to get this, just get Giants. It's cheap. Yeah, these ones there's not really a replacement, sadly. Okay, let's go further. Next one we have is Roids or Ground Scorpion Essay. So in Blasted Lands, there's a quest you can do. In Blasted Lands, there are like mobs that roam around like scorpions and boars and so on. And I think what was our mob? I don't know. I don't remember. There was like another like animals, and all of these drop a thing you can turn in. If you turn them in, like one of each, like 3 things, you can choose choose something and choose a buff you can use. And one of them is Roids. And Roids gives you 25 strength for 1 hour. And also, what's kind of annoying, these are unique. So you can only have one in your inventory. What I did pretty much is like I stocked on all 3 items, and every time I do a raid, I just go to Blasted Lands. Like, of course, before the raid starts, I go to Blasted Lands, grab a raid, and then yeah, go to the raid. So yeah, the problem is you can also only have one, but these are the mats are kind of expensive, kind of not. You can also farm them yourself if you want, but I would try to get this, to be honest. At least it's a nice increase, and as you can see, these don't stack with anything else. As they don't use the slot for anything else. So even though they use strength, they don't stack with this. So you can have one of those. However, there's also another one you can get that gives you 25 agility. This, however, doesn't stack with roids. As you can see, you can only have one. That's really important to know. I think it's also mentioned here. Yeah, you can only carry a single ground scorpion essay and roids in your inventory at a time. Because oh, you can. I think you can both have both of them in your inventory and use either one. Apparently, okay. I need to try that. Like I said, there's some information that's also new for me apparently. Yeah, next one we have a ZG that just came out, and I don't think maybe there will be someone that's also already like at this reputation level. because you need to have, I think you need to have revealed, and you need to have 1 second, I need to, yeah, you get something from a quest, and you can trade that in to get one of these potions. What we would use is, like, we can use this. It's like spirit and stamina for 2 hours. We could use this one. This is a thing most people would probably use because 20% movement speed is actually pretty cool, pretty fun. And this one is just yeah, damage reflection for against spells. You could use this in PvP. But yeah, this is also another consumable. Right now, I don't think we can really, because GG just released and we need to be revered to get these. So yeah, but this is also not really damage increase. This is another thing you could use, just another healing potion, but it doesn't share cooldown with a major healing potion. That's the cool thing about this. So we can use both. Yeah, we can farm these in firewood. It's more of a defensive thing. Could save you from losing your world buffs, however. Next thing we have resistance potions. Greater fire protection potion gets used a lot. Gets used in Molten Core and Black Lair. Also some buffs in the group. And you can greatly increase your survivability. You should use these, of course, before the encounter starts. They last like an hour and absorb a lot of fire damage. And this could, of course, save you. So other than that, these ones come in effect later. Right now we only have, as main raids, we only have Molten Core and Black Lair, and of course ZG, but ZG is more like 20-man raid, it's not really full raid. So we only use these ones. When we have AQ, we can also use these ones, and when we have Nextremas, we will definitely use these ones. Yeah, so some resistance potions would also be important. That could save you. But yeah, greater fire protection potions are pretty expensive also. They're specific. Okay, these are also these are ones for PvP. However, some things you would also use in PvE, like free action potion. The first boss, I think, in Black Lair stuns you, and there's also Gehennas. So this is a really good potion for that, because if you're stunned, you can do no damage. So yeah, you want to use these on these 2 bosses, just so you can do some damage. This can save you from yeah, Lip can pretty much save you from any physical damage. So if you get threat or something, just pop one of these and maybe you can survive until the tank gets threat again. So yeah, it's also really important. Okay, so that's pretty much all about consumables. There are a lot of consumables. Classic is really the version where you can yeah, whatever. Pretty much the iteration where you have a lot of consumables you can use. It's not like in later expansion where you can only use 1 offensive consumables, 1 defensive consumables, or a flask. It's not that way in classic and vanilla. So yeah, so as you can see, there's a really long list of consumables you can use. Okay, but now since we have all the consumables, I want to go back a bit because I forgot to talk about enchants. And enchants are kinda important. You really want to have your gear enchanted. Some enchants are harder to get than others, so people won't look at you the wrong way if you don't like have an helm enchantment or leg enchantment. But others you definitely want to have because they're also really cheap. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them are really expensive. So this one is for head. You have 8 strength for your head. Lionheart helmet. The thing is, however, this one is really expensive because you need to get a book from Diamond. I think it drops in Diamond only, and then you turn in some items, and then you get this item, which you can also use on other players' items actually. So yeah, some people even sell this, but yeah, the book alone is really expensive. So there is an alternative that you can use. I don't know if it's mentioned here, probably not. I think I have it on my helmet here. 1 second. Here you can see all the achievements. Yeah, this one. You have 1% haste instead of 8 strength. And this one you can also get this pretty much a similar way, but you need to get a book that is called Library of Rapidity, and you can turn that in with some other items, and you can get that one, and you can enchant your head with that with 1% haste instead. That is way cheaper, way cheaper. Like the library alone for this one is so expensive. I don't know, it's 500-600 gold or something. So I don't think it's really worth it to go for this one, to be honest. Maybe if you have Lionheart and have really a lot of gold to spend and don't really care, you can spend it on that. But I would rather spend my gold on something else. Next thing we have is this one for shoulders. Shoulder enchants are kind of difficult to get right now because there are some enchantments, as you can see. Like, let me look. Yeah, we have some enchantments. This is SOD, I think. Yeah, but you need to have a reputation for that at Exalted. I think you need to have Argent on Exalted to get these ones. These give you some resistances, if I'm not wrong. Other than that, which the thing we want to use is this one, which gives us 30 attack power, which is actually pretty nice. But we need to be Exalted with the group reputation with the Zendalaris. So yeah, kind of difficult to get right now, of course. But we will get this, and yeah, we will enchant our shoulders with these ones. Enchant Cloak, lesser agility, pretty cheap, free agility, pretty cheap to get. Everyone should have that one. So if you see a warrior with a good cloak but doesn't have that, it's kind of slacking. Next one we have is greater stats. Greater stats, I think, is pretty expensive if I'm not wrong. There are two ones you can have. Greater stats gives you +4 to all stats on your chest, but you can also get another one that's way cheaper, which gives you +3 stats. I think it's just called stats or something. So yeah, try to get that one, unless you have like Savage Gladiator Chain or something, or you have a lot of gold. You can also just get the +3 one. That's not really that important. Next one, Strength Bracers. 9 strength, okay. I think I have less on my bracers actually. I have 5 strength, okay. Yeah. This is another one. I think this is also probably pretty expensive. Kind of expensive, not that expensive. But yeah, you have this one on your bracers. You can get a really cheap one that is 5 strength that I think even people give you out for free even. You just are in a city. Sometimes people give 5 strength on bracers even for free. So every warrior, everyone should have at least 5 strength on their bracers, even on shitty bracers. So yeah, you can get that one. Gloves, 7 strength. 7 strength enchant you can only get from, I think, a mob in the receipt to enchant 7 strength. I think you get in Hubris or lower lower Black Cross Spire into, I think, Mind Control mob and get it or something like that. Yeah, but you can also get like 5 strength on your hands, which would be the alternative. Some people don't have that, but that's also pretty cheap enchant you can get. 7 strength. No enchant on your belt. We aren't in SOD, so we also don't have any wounds or something. So yeah, next one we have legs. So on your legs you can also put the 8 strength enchant. That is really expensive. Or you can also just get another 1% haste on the. Yeah, you can get one both of these pretty much. Boots are kind of interesting. There are damage enchants for boots you can get, like agility, but what's better is actually minor speed. why we would use minor speed is because if we can't get to a boss or something fast enough, of course we can't do any damage, and that's one thing. Also, that's in general quality of life thing, just to have more movement speed. I think it's 8% this enchant gives us, and that's actually pretty huge. So yeah, so it's pretty nice to get. Just to move around a bit faster, dodge things, and so on. There's one thing we have, I think these ones that are from AV, and AV Arati Basin, Revered. You get that reputation to Revered. You can get boots that have the run speed enchant applied already, and you can put an offensive enchantment on these instead, like this one, for example, which gives you 7 agility. So yeah, it's also a thing to consider. Which then further increase their stats compared to these ones. So yeah, that's why they are better. We don't have anything for rings, we don't have anything for trinkets, of course. No main hands is really the thing we want to talk about. Main hand we have Crusader, we want to use on both weapons. Crusader is absolutely the best enchant you can get, but it's also expensive because you need 2 righteous orbs, and one righteous orb can go for like 100 gold. So you're looking at least 200 gold for an enchant. So what I would suggest, if you are a bit broke, just go for Fury on your weapons. You can get that instead, or get like weapon damage or something else. And then when you save up, when you get a really good weapon, put Crusader on that one. Like if you get one of the top ones here, like maybe CTS, your PvP sword, or if you get this, for example, then you can put Crusader on that one. I would also suggest, yeah, you need 2 of those. That's a lot of gold. But Crusader is really insane because it gives you 75 strength. Yeah, it gives you 100 strength. Sorry, it's a bit late. So yeah, 100 strength, and that's actually pretty insane when it procs for 15 seconds, and also heals you a bit. But yeah, who cares about that? Problem is, the enchant is kind of rare. You need to, like, there are certain mobs that drop it. There's only a limited amount of mobs that drop it, and this enchant's pretty much perma-farmed. Doesn't have such a low drop rate actually compared to other things, but yeah, it's pretty expensive because of the righteous orbs you need to farm. Righteous orbs you get from Strat Alive, from the Scarlet mobs in there, but yeah, they are going for like 100 gold each. Okay, that was the enchantments. Last thing I want to mention, second to last thing actually, are ward buffs. So I talked about enchantments, I talked about consumables. Now there are ward buffs. You can already see the ward buffs here, but I made a chart pretty much, and it looks like this. So it looks a bit bad. I made this like in 5 minutes in Paint, but this should help you a bit. Wall buffs are really important for warriors. More so than even consumables, because like 1 wall buff is like 5 consumables or so. So really try to get these. What I did here is these are pretty much the wall buffs you can get right now in phase 4. So that's a list. So yeah, these are the ones you can get. I took them and I gave them a border, and the border is pretty much indicates if it's an easy to get wall buff, if it's a bit harder, or if it's conditional. So let's get through the wall buffs and I explain what I mean by that. First of all, we have a Rallying Cry of Dragon Slayer. You can get that wall buff pretty much if you just stay AFK installment. It's a really easy wall buff to get. You will get that also while leveling pretty easily. Just stay AFK installment and you will get that wall buff. Try to boon it for those for those people who don't know what booning is, you can buy an item either off the vendor in I think was it Eastern Platelands? No, Western Platelands. Yeah, Western Platelands. And you can buy an item of an NPC there, or what I just do because I'm of course lazy, you can buy it off the auction house. And what it can do is you can pretty much save your ward buff. So you just press right click on the item if you have a ward buff, and then it gets saved. The duration gets saved, and you can whenever you want can open that boon pretty much and just get your ward buff back. Yeah, so that's really important. So what people do, of course, is they try to get every ward buff, save them, and then wait till raid day and just unboon, what people call it, activate their boon, and then they have all the ward buffs ready. So yeah, first one, we have Raining Cry of the Dragon Slayer, gives you 10% spell crit, it's not important for us, 5% melee range crit, and plus 140 AP. So this one is really insane, 5% crit and 140 AP. Yeah. This one's also really easy to get, so you should definitely have this every time. How you get this is if someone has the head of Onyxia, so if you kill Onyxia, you can one person can get the head, do the quest, and if you turn in that quest, you get this buff. Pretty much all of Stone gets this buff. So yeah, so just say in AFK, just say AFK, someone will turn in the quest and you will get this buff, then you can boon it and whatever. Pretty easy actually. Problem is, like, you can also look if you have certain add-ons, then you can look add-ons. I will also explain later which layers are free, because it also has a cooldown. So each layer, layers are pretty much separate, like, what would I call it? Kind of like servers you have inside the game, but not really servers. Pretty much the same version, but like copies. Yeah, so there are different players on each layer, and you can switch layer if someone invites you that is from a different layer, and each one of them has a unique cooldown. So for this one, I will also explain a bit something. Yeah, okay, yeah. I just checked something exactly. Yeah, that's how it works. So pretty much if you have cooldown on all layers, you can check it with certain add-ons. You won't get that buff, so you need to wait either, or just do something else. You can always check that with certain add-ons. So you get this head from either Onyxia. Also, if you turn in the Nefarian head from Blackwing Lair, if you kill Nefarian, you also get a head. You also get this buff. So I think they are on separate cooldowns actually. Yeah, I don't remember. Either way, it's really easy to get. Just stand in Stone with AFK or in Ogrimmar. I didn't mention what at all. Yeah, you can of course also get this on Ogrimmar. You can also stay AFK, the same thing, pretty much. Next thing is we have Songflower Serenade. This is marked as yellow, so it's a bit harder to get actually. You need to do a quest in Fellwood, and when you do that quest, you get like Cenarian plant self something, and if you have two, I think you can. So basically, you do the quest, you get like a lantern, and when you kill certain mobs, you can get some crystals, and if you can turn these crystals in, get some the Cenarian plant cells. Let me look. Yeah, these ones. You need like two of these. This is the thing you need, like the bacon, the light thing. You need to drop like the crystals to turn them in for this. Like, I think you need like two, and if you have two, all over Fellwood there are like songflowers. They are corrupted, and if you have two Cenarian plant cells like I've shown, you can right click that sunflower, it will take a bit, and then you will uncorrupt the sunflower and you will get this buff. pretty much. What people will do is they will use certain add-ons that will tell them exactly on which layer, because these are also layer dependent. They also have a cooldown on which layer one of the cooldowns refreshes. So they will switch to that layer, wait the AFK, so you have these people standing there in a circle pretty much. And then the cooldown vanishes and you can right click one again. Yeah, all will pretty much right click at the same time and everyone will get the buff. So that's what people will do. Other than that, you can also just run in Fairwood and look at your map. If you have the add-on, you can look and yeah, go there, press right click, get the buff, boon it, and yeah, be done. It's kind of annoying because this one only holds for 60 minutes. That's one thing, and there could be a lot of like horde or alliance, whatever, that will try to kill you when you are trying to get this. So yeah, this is kind of annoying. That's also why it's medium, because you need to do quest and horde and alliance can kill you, blah, and so on, blah blah. This one is a bit of a special one. I didn't really consider it as a world buff, but whatever. I think, can you even boon this? I don't even know. So yeah, you can get this if you do Hubris or Lower Blackrock Spire, whatever. It's the same thing. Pretty much Blackrock Spire. At the beginning there are some mobs, and I forgot what the mobs are called, but there are some casters. A priest can mind control them, and they have these unique buffs they can give to players, and that's pretty much this one. So you can get an extra 83 fire resistance, which is actually pretty huge, especially for tanks, especially if you do like Blackwing Lair, and you can get this one. So it's pretty easy. Just bring a priest before the raid starts, like get some people inside there, especially the tanks, and one priest man controls the mobs and just gives everyone this buff, and yeah, then you can do Blackwing Lair or whatever what you want to do. Next one. So this is a special one. This is also conditional. The thing what it says here, it says here is actually wrong. It's not only for hordes. This is wrong. What this buff does is it gives you 300 HP, 15% melee haste, and 10 MP5. Really insane buff for melees, because 15% melee haste, more auto attacks, more rage. 300 HP is also a really nice bonus. The thing is, you need to do a quest for this one, and if any player does this quest, you will get, I think, the whole Orgrimmar zone pretty much. Also Orgrimmar and like Crossroads, I think, and Ratchet and such can get this buff. But only Horde players. However, if you have an enemy Horde player, like let's say you have an alliance and player, and you have someone from enemy, or you have an alt, another account, and you have another priest, so you need a Horde priest and like your normal account. A Horde priest can mind control you while this is going out, and then you will also get this buff. So this is also a thing that an alliance player can get. It's really cumbersome and annoying. Get this one. There are also people that are selling this buff, I think like for 50 gold or something, or more. I don't really forgot, kind of. But yeah, this is the way alliance players can also get this buff. For Horde players, it's really easy. They just need to stay in Orgrimmar or Crossroads or whatever. And for alliance players, it's really annoying to get this one, because you need to have an enemy, you need to have a Horde priest mind control you while this is going out, and then you can get this. So yeah, there are also ways to get this buff and not be able to be attacked by Horde, I think, but these require some exploits and such. Yeah, it's pretty annoying. That's why it's in conditional. Really easy to get for Horde, pretty hard to get for Alliance, but it's a really nice buff. Next one we have is also medium. This is also kind of conditional, so it's kind of both actually. Oh no, it's not this one. I am wrong. This one's conditional. Sorry. I can read. So we have DM North buffs. What this will do is you can get 15% max HP, you can get 200 AP, and you can get 3% spell crit. These are 3 separate buffs actually from 3 separate NPCs. So in Diamond North there is certain thing you can do that's a pretty unique dungeon, and you can do it in multiple ways. One thing you can do is you can spare the guards at the beginning, so you don't kill them and don't you try to stealth around them. There's one guard you can like trap in an ice trap, not from a hunter but like from like a quest you can do or something. I don't really know how hunters really do that one, but whatever. Yeah, you can do that one, and then at the end you get a nice chest, and every orc in the dungeon is friendly to you. Then you can invite other players, which will have some kind of weird way with the orcs. So the orcs will be like red for you. For example, if you are just a normal player, you can pay a hunter to join that dungeon ID. So hunters are like selling these IDs that are already done. So the last boss is dead, pretty much. So that's what they call a tribute run. And you can join, and then the orc enemies are red for you, but you can't attack them. Some of them are still able to aggro you, so you need to move around them. And at the end, you can talk to an NPC that will give you a debuff, which will mark you as a king of the ogres, and every ogre is going to be friendly to you. Then you can talk to the guards that were spared. And every single guard, there are 3 of them, will give you one of these buffs. So you have 15% max HP, 200 AP, and 3% spell crit. For us, what's important is, of course, like max HP and especially 200 AP. That's another bonus you can get. Why this is in medium sounds like cumbersome to get and kind of annoying, but you can pay either if you have a bit more gold, you can pay for summon and an ID, or what you can do is like you can just fly to Ferellas and just go close to it. There will be always hunters selling this flag, and you can pay like 5 gold for an ID, get your buffs, try not to get aggroed by one of the guards, and yeah, get your buffs and so on, and yeah, then you have your buffs. Kind of easy to get. I would say this one is, yeah, it's also like pretty easy, kind of easy to get, but also yeah, kind of medium, can be annoying, whatever. Also pretty cheap. Next one we have Sage Fortune, Dark Unfair. So depending what time it is actually, you can get this buff or not. So if I remember right, the first Sunday of every month, Dark Fair will open. Like Sunday, Monday, and I think Dark Fair is only like opened for like 3 days. And what this is like pretty much there's kind of a mini festival, mini event you can go to. It's either in Mulgore, like the Torrent starting area, or it's in Elven Forest, the human starting area. So one of those. Like in Elven Forest is close to Goldshire, in Mulgore it's in close to Thunderbluff. I think it's close to Thunderbluff. Yeah. So yeah, you can go there. There's an NPC which can tell you your fortune, whatever. What you can do is you can talk to that NPC, and depending what kind of dialogue options you choose, you get a buff. And as you can see, you have 10% damage, you have 10% AG, int, spirit, stamina, strength, 10% armor, magic resist, so on. These are different. You will get a different one depending what dialogue options you pick. This also stays for 120 minutes, similar to Rankslayer. The thing you can do, which you can remember, is just always pick the first one and you will get 10% damage. 10% damage is the best DPS one for us warriors, so we always want this one. When we get this one, we will just boon it, and then we have another ward buff. Problem is, however, first of all, it's only available like for like 3 days every month. So yeah, that's the first thing. And the other thing is it will always switch. So it's either in Mulgore or in Elven Forest. And if you are in opposite faction and not on a PvE server, that can be a problem. Last time I tried it in Mulgore, I got killed, so I couldn't get the buff. And the thing is, if you get this once, I think it has like a 2-hour cooldown or more. I forgot kinda, or I think it is 6 hours. I kind of forgot how long it was, but it's a really long cooldown. So you can't really spam this. If you can try to get it once. Try to be lucky and not be killed of the enemy faction, and yeah, then you can boon it. So if you are Alliance and Darkmoon Fair opens in Mulgore, yeah, you have a big problem. You need to use invisibility potions, slips, I don't know, bubble, whatever. If you are Horde and it's an Elven Forest, you have the same problem. So that's why it's conditional. First of all, it's only like 3 days every month, and other than that, it's depending where it is located. So if you are Alliance, I think the current Darkmoon Fair is starting in, actually opens in Elven Forest. So for me, it's really easy to get this buff. The next time it opens. But if you're Horde, for example, it's really hard. Yeah. So it kind of switches. Not really hard, but yeah, really annoying. Next one. Next one is the new one we got right now in Phase 4. Spirit of Zandalor. This one is a ward buff you get from ZG. What you can do is you can just stay AFK in Booty Bay and get this buff. How this one works is someone needs to, like, if you defeat a car, he always drops an item. It's called Heart of Akara, which gives you a quest, and where you can get a trinket. Really good for, I think, casters and healers. And you can turn that in, and everyone on that isle, there's the isle where all the trolls, reputations and honorary trolls are located, and in Booty Bay will get this buff, what buff. So yeah, it's also really easy, especially now, because everyone is doing ZG, and you will get this every 2 minutes pretty much, and also has no cooldown. So yeah, you can get it like you can get it, and next 2 minutes you can get it pretty much again. It's pretty much infinite. Everyone will get this one. So yeah, these are the 2 ones you should always try to get: Spirit of Zandalor and Raining Cry of the Ringslayer. Really important ones, really easy ones, I mean. Also really strong, because you get 10% movement speed, 15% stats. This is pretty much a more buffed version of Kings. 5% more than Kings. So even Horde can kind of have in Kings. And this one's also really insane. So you should at least try to get both of these. So don't slack, try to get both of these. Try to get most of these. People don't really expect to get to get War Chief's Blessing as an Alliance player, because it's really annoying to get. So yeah, that's one thing to consider. That's also why it's conditional. But the other ones, like Songflower, is kind of annoying. From the medium ones, it's probably the most annoying one. DM buffs are pretty easy to get. What's kind of annoying, that Boon has a 1-hour cooldown. So for example, let's say you chill in Stormwind, you get this buff, and then you boon it, then you have a 1-hour cooldown to boon another buff. So what I would do, what's the perfect way to get kind of get most of these? Try to get, you could do it in a certain way. You could try to get all of them in one go, which would be a bit hard. I would try probably to get Sunflower Serenades first, because it's only 60 minutes, and would I try to get this one first? What I am always doing is like crying of drinks. If it pops and I don't have anything, uh, like I don't have anything else, I would just spoon it, whatever. What you can also do is you can, for example, pay a summon to get DM North buffs, get the buffs. Hearthstone, if you boon this on CD, chill installment, just log out. If you log out, in a city, for example, you will instant log out. If you log out somewhere else after 20 seconds, also you will get logged out. If you are logged out, your buffs will still stay and they will not tick down. This is also really important. Like if you have someone in your raid that's talking a lot and you have buffs on and can boon them or have consumables, just log out. Tell them I will be back, I'm logging for buffs or whatever. You can still preserve your buffs. Yeah, so you could try that. You could also try just to get this one, Railing Dragonfly, and then fly to Booty Bay, get this one, and then yeah, the next one are kind of difficult to get because you could get killed by Horde. So I would at least try to boon these two, and then try to maybe get Sunflower at the flag path. There's directly one Sunflower you can get immediately at the flag path, and maybe try to gamble it with this one, so you can also get the entry bit or pay for a summon. Yeah, and then try to get this one really fast. Hearthstone, and just log out. And then just wait like, I don't know, 60 minutes or I think it's 1 hour cooldown. And then you can boon this two. So yeah, that's one way you could do it. Okay. Yeah. A lot of talking. Next one. This is the last one. Last thing I will talk about. Addons. So thing is, add-ons are really like a personal thing. You can't really have. Can have some add-ons that are kind of must-have. Other add-ons are like whatever. For example, here's another list you can use. Also for DPS warriors, here are some add-ons. But things like you have things like Bagnon and such, like these ones. You can also use another back add-on, whatever. It's like personal preference. Also, things like you to personalize your UI and such are all personal. They are not like border dependent. Things like I would definitely get. I could go through every add-on, but it's not really important. It will take a lot of time. It's really unnecessary. So what I would say is, what's really important for you to get. Definitely get weak auras, because you can get some really nice UIs from weak auras that can tell you a lot of information, like how much rage you have, if you are queuing in Heroic Strike or Cleave right now, if some of your cooldowns, such things. I think this is really important. Also, what I would try to get, you can also get this with weak aura, of course, is try to get I would say, yeah, like nameplates where you can see thunder charges and things like that, and debuffs on your enemies. Breadplate or Plater has that option, so try to get one of these add-ons. There are also, of course, other add-ons, but this is really important because at the start, what you should do if you do DPS, you should do at least one thunder just so you can stack the thunders really fast, and you have that covered. And then you can also see like does the enemy have thunders and such. It's really important. Another thing I would try to do is have things like if you are like the only warrior in your group and so on, or if the other warriors are slacking. I see that all the time if you're in a group of warriors. Have something like a battle shot reminder. Battle shot is really such a really huge buff for every physical DPS. So always try to have battle shot active, and just have a reminder for that. So if you have a reminder for that, it's pretty much you can always keep it up. It's really easy. Also, some weak auras do that for you also as well. They tell you like, hey, you don't have a better shortcut. That's really important. Other things you can use is things like UI elements to track things like overpower, and the rest is pretty much general. You can have things to track your consumables. What's also really important, what I forgot, is of course you need a damage meter, because damage meter is one of the most important things. You want to compare your damage to other DPS. And another thing also is you need to have a threat meter. If you play a DPS, any DPS, you need to have a threat meter. You can't be, yeah, I know how much damage I do or whatever, or some people just use, I don't know. You could also use things like plater things or whatever, threat, was it threat plates, I think was it called, or something. They can also tell you threat from the nameplates alone. I personally, or like a classic threat, there's also an add-on. I personally wouldn't use, you can use that of course, but I also would use a threat meter. The problem is if you use one of those, you can't see who's second or third on threat. So like you could be second, you wouldn't even know it pretty much, and then anything happens, maybe the tank dies and you are instant dead because you were second on threat and you shouldn't be. So yeah, always get a threat meter. It's really important. One of the most important things. People will be mad if you don't, and you will be mad about yourself because you lost all your ward buffs. That's really important. Weak auras is really important. Yeah, not really important, but UI thing if you want to have it. I have it personally. So really nice. Layer tricks is also nice add-on. Gives you a lot of quality of life things like auto selling junk, auto repair, telling you how long flight path will take, things like that. Wider quest log, like general things you have. If you are kind of lazy and don't want to edit all your UI, you can also use things like FUI. Also really easy to use. So yeah, these are the add-ons you can use. You can also use like Warcraft OS. There are tons of add-ons. I don't want to mention all. I could also make another video just about add-ons. Also, oh, what I forgot. However, what's important, you want to have a swing timer somewhere. Maybe you can use a week or you can use an add-on specific for that. Also add-ons for that. That's kind of important because if you are, for example, leveling, you can use the hamstring kiting method for that, and you want to know when your next auto attack will be, so you can kite better, things like that. Also, when you want, what's really useful, gear swapping add-on. That's really important for you will swap your trinkets. Oftentimes, for example, because if you use the flask, if you use it once, it had 6-minute cooldown, and oftentimes after that you fight another boss or something else, and the trinket is pretty much useless because you can use it on CD. So you will switch to another trinket. So have an add-on where you can easily use swap gear around. It's also really useful. Also useful for to use a healing set with the flask. Another thing you will want to have is something where you can track your buffs and debuffs, especially in later phases where this will be more important. And well, I forgot DBM as well. So basically, I want to summarize add-ons. You want to have, if you are raiding, you want to have something like DBM or bigwigs that can tell you stuff when something is happening. It's important because to have some raid mechanics, if you don't know what you are doing, like for example Baron, you could wipe your whole raid, and if yeah, you will get yelled at pretty much if you don't if you don't watch out for things like that. There are add-ons that can help you with that, so like DBM and big wigs. Other things you want to have is weak auras, not really, but yeah, things where you can more have an easier time to know what's going on, how much rage you have, what's happening, things like that. Swing timers can be really useful. Add-on where you can swap gear around. That's really important. Yeah, this is pretty much it. Damage meter, threat meter is really important. So yeah, these are the important add-ons you should get. Everything else is more like a cosmetic thing. I probably forgot about something important, but whatever. Like questing and such, of course, quest add-ons, quest C. But yeah, everything else is more customization, more personal thing. There are a lot of add-ons things. Like I could also make a video about that. I could show some of my add-ons, what I am using, what is useful, and so on. So yeah, this should be all. I will try to edit this video a bit. I'm not the best at editing, but this is pretty much the end of the video. If you made it this far, I thank you utmost for managing to stay through all of this. To keep up with my voice and accent. I know it's difficult, but yeah, I'm trying to work on it. Other than that, this was a fun video to talk about. I hope maybe you could use some of the information. Like I said, there's a lot of information on Wowhead you can read through. There's a lot of information on the Fight Club Discord you can also read through. And yeah, that can also help you further. If you have any question or so, feel free to comment. If you have any other video ideas you want me to make, like maybe, I don't know, leveling guide. I think there are probably some people that came new to Classic because of Phase 4. Yeah, I have no problem doing that, whatever. And if you have some things to say, whatever, can you whatever roast me, and also comment about that. Like if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked it, whatever. And I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.